out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You're to Apartment 5B, hosted by your man, Kill. I got my squad with me in effect, as always. Apartment 5B brethren over there on the West Coast. Eddie, what's going on, baby?
Yo, what's good?
All right. We got my guy, Chicago's finest. I am God. What's good, baby?
Chillin', Chicago. Never forget how to rap. Know that.
All right. My man, Veg out the BK. What's going on, Vegas?
What up, man? You know, I can't breathe, you know. Smoking out here. Yo,
I feel you, bro. I got my man Chad Morgan. I call him making me laugh since 1992. What's good, bro?
All good, man. Just trying to live another day. Trying to keep my head out this smoke, man.
Hey, I feel you, bro. And the R&B guru, youngest in charge, JR. What's going on, baby?
What's up? Good to be back. I was gone last week, but we here.
I ain't no doubt. Y'all know me. Let's jump right into this joint. I didn't think this was going to be that controversial of an episode. Trust and believe I did not set out to make it that way. Today, we are going to be talking about and saluting good to very good MCs. I thought this was going to be a simple show. Talked about with a lot of people, and people's like, damn, you shitting on MCs like that? And I'm like, nah, but like, everybody can't be LeBron. Like, if we just keeping it a buck, everybody cannot be this lyrical miracle 5-mic MC. So I'm always trying to show light to MCs who deserve some props, but whose name never come up. I mean, if we keeping it a buck, I've been talking hip hop damn near every day of my life since I was 10 years old. I'm 49. That's 39 years. A lot of these MCs who I'm naming, names have never come up in those kind of conversations. You know what I mean? So, if more importantly than anything, this is not this show. I'm putting out like the whatever you want to call it, the announcement now or whatever. This is by no means a diss show. And I'm looking at it really like the NBA. I fell in love with the NBA in '89 when the Lakers beat the Pistons. I'm a young boy, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just root for whoever loses, so I ain't jumping on the winner's bandwagon. So of course the Pistons lost. You got Benny Microwave Johnson. This dude was a beast, but he was coming off the bench, but he give you buckets. You got John Sally, very important role player. Is he going in the Hall of Fame? Hell no. You know what I mean? But he played a role in the NBA. You have role players. I actually did some statistics. There are 540,769 people playing high school basketball. Only 18,816 are in college. So that means there's only a 3.5% chance that you make it from high school to college. And then when you go to the pros, that was 18,816 people in college to only 450 in the NBA. That means only 0.12% of college players in basketball, Division I or all the divisions, are going to make it to the league. So I know without a doubt, all these players think they're going to be the next LeBron, as you should. Like, I'm not even mad at that. I'll give you a great example. I'm an avid book reader. I read this book, 7 Seconds or Less. It's about the Phoenix Suns, them years when they had Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, and Sean Marion. The whole book, whole entire book. Sean Marion is complaining, bitching, the whole book. Man, they treat me like I'm the third best player on the team. Niggas treat me like I'm the third best player on the team. Nigga, you are the third best player on the team. You are not better than Steve Nash. You are not better than Amari Stoudemire. But in his entire 2 seasons, he could not see that he was not better than Steve Nash or Amari Stoudemire. All of us can. So again, I think the only people who would be offended from this show are maybe the MCs who we name who think they are 5-mic MCs. So just wanted to get that out there. Understand, they got the 6 Man of the Year award. Like, it's nothing wrong with that. Another great example. I'm from Philly. Aaron McKee and Eddie Jones. In 94, 95, Yo, these dudes ran Philly. When they played at Temple, I remember Eddie had the Burgundy Pathfinder, Eddie had the green joint. He used to be around Philly. You thought they was gonna be the next joint. Neither one of them dudes, in my opinion, were elite players. You know, in fact,
the
when
white
Aaron
CL
came back,
600 too, Kill.
what happened?
Eddie Jones had the white CL 600 too.
Yeah, that's once he got to the league. They were still getting that under the table money in Philly with the Land Cruisers. You know, they still had the Toyota joints. But the Toyota Land Cruiser was nasty in 94, 95. Like, but all that to say, I remember Aaron came home to the Sixers and won the Sixth Man of the Year award. Like, sometimes you just got to play your position, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a role player. So that's what we chopping it up about today. And I also want to kind of talk about when the switch came. When you had to be this lyrical, miracle, ninja samurai to get any respect. Because in the 80s where I'm from, for every Kane, Rakim, and G-Rap, there was 10 good MCs. There was Kid and Plays, there was the Kwame's, there was the Dana Danes. And they all lived together in harmony. Like, no, it's not like the Nas's was dissing them. Everybody was good. Everybody loved each other. So that's my rant. We'll get into all of that. The first MC I have up is Phife. From A Tribe Called Quest, God Bless the Dead. Again, this is no disrespect. I always thought Phife was a solid MC. And for me, and we'll talk about it, I want to know how you all kind of came to these conclusions. Y'all know me. Everything is 5 mics to me. 5 is classic, 4 is dope, 3 is good, 2 is aight, 1 is whack. Same thing with MCs. 5 mic, you're a goat. 4 mic, you're dope. 3 mic, you're good. 2, you're aight. 1, you're whack. So for me, I'm saluting them dudes who's in between 3 and 4. So good MCs to very good MCs. Which, back in the day, I know now in 2023, calling somebody good is an insult. But back in my day, if you was good, you was happy with that. You were good with that. So I always looked at Phife as like a solid. Good and solid mean the same thing to me. So you're a good, solid MC. I remember first hearing people's instinctives, and he didn't rhyme a lot. So I really didn't even know why Boy was there. First time I paid attention to Phife was probably the Can I Kick It video, the remix joint with the Baby Huey drums. And then, of course, we get Butter. You know, it's coming out, party and bugging out and just jazz. And, you know, Phife is Phife. But even with all the quotables, even, you know, I busted nut inside your eye to see where I'm coming from. Very dope line, but it wasn't no lyrical, miracle, double, triple entendre. You know what I mean? But I felt like he was a real solid MC, and Phife could make you laugh. So, I mean, I just want to salute the boy, God rest the dead, but that's one of the people on my, God, I'm interested. How did you pick the MCs that you're choosing for the night show?
I was kind of like going back and forth because I got some like superstars on my shit. And it's like, I mean, hey, like we talking about MCing, we talking about the bars, the lyrical skill. So my thing is, you could be a much better artist than you are just a secular rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, so first on my list, I got 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's a average MC, or maybe whatever era you going by, slightly above average, whatever. Average MC with one classic under his belt. I believe Get Rich is a classic. You know what I'm saying? But he had a culmination of things. So 50 it was perfect timing. Like 50 was one of them artists that caught lightning in the bottle. He had the backing, you know what I'm saying? He had the strong cosigns, Dre and M, you know what I'm saying? And he just was a fucking monster songwriter, you know what I'm saying? Like hook game crazy. Still had bars. I don't believe he was the 50 of like the late 90s when he first came out, you know what I'm saying? I feel like he kind of like, you know, like he said, Banks told me go ahead, switch the style up. And if they hate, let them hate and watch the money pile up. So I feel like the wordplay and the bars kind of took a slight back seat, and he focused more on artistry and song structure, and you know what I'm saying. And so I got 5th, first on my list.
That's a great point, bro. I want to also say this because somebody was asking me, "So, Kill, is this a slept on show?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not slept on because I feel like somebody like Razzcast is slept on, but I do feel like Razzcast is an elite MC, though.
Right,
you know what I mean? So it's not that, and then also kind of like you touched on. There's a lot of people on this list who have some classic albums under their belt. And there's some lyrical, miracle 5 mic MCs that don't have a classic album under their belt. So again, it's not like you good doesn't mean you can't make a classic album, you know? Right. And another thing that kind of made me think about this show, we just did the 95 show last week, and Only Built for Cuban Links is probably, in my opinion, the biggest album that year. It's not my personal favorite, but it was the biggest. So I'm like, damn, is Raekwon the MC of the year? And I was like, something in my soul just couldn't let me give Raekwon MC of the year. You know what I mean? Because I don't think he's this elite spitter. You know what I mean? I think he's a very good MC. He does very good, but like something in my spirit just ain't feel right. Like, yo, I can't give Ray MC of the year. You know what I mean? So
niggas are specialists in what they do. Like Ray is like a flame doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like niggas is just great at what they do. And I feel like it's just like how you mentioned, like with the athletes, you know, some niggas is 3-point specialists. Some niggas could get to that bucket. Some niggas is elite defenders. You know what I'm saying? So it's like some motherfuckers is elite rebounders. So it's just like it's fewer overall players, you know what I'm saying, all around players than it is specialists. You know what I'm saying? Everybody not gonna be skilled at everything.
Right. Vay, who you got up first for your joint, bro?
All right. First I have West Side Gun. Initially I didn't really like him because standing next to Conway, it was just this huge difference between the two, and I felt like, why do I want to hear him when this dude is crazy? And I'm talking about this before he got shot. And I remember, you know, like listening to West Side Gun. Which one was it? I forget which one. But shout out to Ak was like, yeah, I kind of like him because I like his style. And I stopped grading him on that lyrical scale, right? That I was where Conway was. And then I realized I liked him even more. And I was like, yeah, what's to your point? I'm like, well, yeah, what's the difference between him and Raekwon and Ghost, right? It's all style and flavor and it's less technique. You know what I'm saying? So I like him, but I feel like, you know, he's not whack, but I feel like he's good enough. He's good enough for me to, you know, top several projects and like some, love some, but keep coming back for more. So yeah, West Side Gun is definitely one of mine for sure.
And the funny thing, Supreme Blind Tell is a 5 mic classic to me. I love that joint. You know what I mean? I'm sure I'm in the minority in the world, but I love that joint. But again, first time I heard West, I thought he was a girl. I heard him on Governor's Ball, this joint with Royce. And that was the first time I heard him. I was like, oh, who's this girl? Like, she really she trying to go hard out. And then I eventually realized, same thing. I thought first time we heard Foxy up 889, we all thought it was Shaheem. We didn't even know it was a girl either with Foxy. So, you know what I mean? Right. So, you know. Chad, CL, what you got for your first joint, bro? And how did you kind of grade this? You know, when I hit you with the assignment, how did you take it as an insult at first, or were you like, I get it?
Nah, you know, it's ill because I always, when people do those top 10, top 20, or top 5, right? I always try to make them qualify. Like, are you talking about the top 5 ever, no matter what, or your top 5? Because that could be your favorite, like your preference. And that's kind of how I took it. Like for me, I looked at Buckshot, right? Like I look at Buckshot, like that Black Moon album, right? The first album is incredible to me, right? And I know damn near every word to this day. You know what I mean? But I'm never putting them on. If you ask me what the top 20 all-time list is, I'm never going to put Buckshot on that list, right? But if you ask me who my top 20 favorite is, there's a chance that he could sneak on there. You know, like if 30 years later, I know every word you spit on 10 songs, like, I think there's something to that. You know what I mean? So I looked at it like the basketball was perfect because I looked at this is like I used to make people mad when I played Live 94 because I always would play with the Celtics so I could pick Dana Barros and just make him shoot threes because he was a cheat code, you know. And they were like, "Why you keep doing that?" Like, because I like the way he shoots on the game. I don't know why. He makes a lot, right? You know, when nobody was intentionally choosing that, you know. But that was like my favorite, so I looked at it as a preference thing. And like Buckshot, like when Buck says, "I'm small but I'm strong," like you know, like just, you know what I mean? And like he was an ultimate beat rider. Like he was really you know, he was a flow, not necessarily a dope MC, but you know, I think when I said to you, I said this is like the Mike Geronimo All-Star team.
Exactly, the Mike Geronimo invitation. It's the Mike.
Mike Geronimo.
All the college, all the pre tournaments going on in the Bahamas and everywhere. Like, yeah, it's the Mike Geronimo invitation.
It'll be the 3-star camp. Not the 5-star camp, the 3-star camp.
Right. No doubt. I feel you on that. And Veg, I forgot to ask you, how did you grade this? Like, when I sent it to you, how did you take it?
Well, me and my wife were debating these lists because I got R&B too.
Oh yeah, I gotta come back. I'm glad you said that. I totally forgot about my joints.
Yeah, just trying to like decide, okay, where's the bar? You know what I'm saying? And then where do these guys fall? And for me, it wasn't like, it's easy to look at somebody you don't really like that much, but you kind of like, but most people will call them whack versus somebody who's average. And that doesn't mean they're bad, but they pass the test as a rapper. So I kind of looked at it like that, like what they do is nothing spectacular, but they are good at what they do. So that's kind of how I looked at it.
All right. And real quick, my R&B person, JR, I don't know how you feel about this. I got to go with Janet. You know what I mean? I've never seen Janet as an incredible singer, as some Whitney Houston, gonna take you to church or anything like that. But she's an incredible entertainer. If she's on tour, you want to go see, especially JR, in those days when it was Control and Rhythm Nation and the Janet, Velvet Rope, you wanted to be at these tours. The stage show is going to be incredible. But she's just not no Patti LaBelle, Whitney Houston, take you to church, tear it down type singer. So Janet was definitely one of mine. Vay, who's one of your R&B people?
I make a couple people upset. But I love these people. JR, we just gonna get it out the way, man. We're gonna get it out the way.
Just say it.
Just put it out. Throw out the big joker. Just get it out the way.
Please. Man. Like
we did a whole show on it. So
we did a whole show on it, and bro, we literally get death threats. Like, niggas, yo, we had seen that. I'm sending my uncle, like dead ass. Niggas like, yo, I'm sending my uncle. See, it's like 2,500 Palmer Road Southeast. That's the niggas on the basketball court where I'm at. Like, come through. Like, niggas was really threatening us.
Going hard. Like,
yeah, like in the comments on YouTube, it was like, yo, who's that gorilla-looking girl on the show? Like, niggas,
they was eating ass. We was every monkey in the world, like all that, yo. Like,
yeah. Well, I say what I want, so y'all can come for me.
You know what? I have a bit of a take. I don't know if it's a hot take regarding Mary J. Blige, but I feel like because she's not like the best singer, because she's not the cleanest singer, I think that paired with her emotion kind of makes us feel it even more. It feels more relatable.
Right. Yeah. And look, that's exactly why I love her, right? Like, she's my favorite. But, a couple of times, a couple older folk back then, she can't even sing. Why she singing Chaka Khan's song? And I'm like, hey, look, man. I know what you're saying, but you like it. So, yeah.
Mary's is a great point. Is a great point.
But I'll be on her Instagram like a scumbag all the time. Every time she posts.
But here's the great part. It goes back to what we said. Mary and another person I'm gonna name on my list eventually is they're great at these hooks. You know what I mean? I really can't see Whitney singing R&B hook. I mean, a hip hop hook like Mary can. You know what I mean? I can't see Patty singing. Sometimes you don't need that person who's gonna take you to church to just sing my hook, and make the song dope. You know what I mean? So again, it's another testament to the great ones can't do this and the good ones can't do that, but you do what you do, like God said, very well. You're a specialist, which is again how, because I'm not that I give a fuck, but I don't want people thinking it's like this is a hate show when it's totally the opposite. It's a show that I want to give people their flowers because people don't talk about these people like that. Now, again, for the Janets and the on the R&B side, I think it's different because Mary gets all her love. Janet gets all the love. But on the hip hop side of things, a lot of these people that names I got coming up, I never hear. So, JR, who you got up next, good brother? Or who you got up first? I'm sorry.
All right, the first one I got is Bobby Brown. And the reason why I did that, because the way you brought this topic to me, I was sitting there like, all right, if we're going to talk about vocalists, ain't nobody going to put no Bobby Brown as a top 20 vocalist. But like you said with Janet, he knows how to entertain, but his voice ain't bad. Like, it bugs me out when people try to say like he's the David Ruffin. They say he's that, but it's because he was that, extra dude in the group. Vocal wise, he ain't. No. not at all. But Bobby can entertain his ass off. I mean, this last tour I went to, but.
I mean, he's been through a lot. He's had a lot on his plate.
And that's why I gave him grace. He went through a lot. But yeah, I would say Bobby. He's my first one. But he could entertain his ass off. He got the right songs, the right ballads to sing, all that kind of stuff. But if you're gonna talk about a vocalist, he ain't gonna be on nobody's top 20 list. That's for sure. So I say Bobby.
I got you. Hey, who you got up first for yours, good brother?
All right. This is an MC who's part of one of my favorite groups, who dropped one of my favorite albums. Speaking of like the mid-90s, one of my favorite albums of the mid-90s, but I can't say he's a top tier MC, and that's Mr. Cheeks. I love Mr. Cheeks, man, but he's just not on that level,
Do we know how he got the name Mr. Cheeks? I don't know why.
I was just saying, Mr. Cheeks is wild in 2023.
The last 30 years.
Yes.
It was something about the way you said it, Eddie, that I was just like, Mr. Cheeks. That don't sound right. And I've heard this name for years. But just until you said it, I was just like,
wild ass name.
That's wild in 2020.
Right.
Yeah, like Mr. Cheeks. Like, where did you get that name from? I don't know I don't know what just happened. And God saw it too and was like, wait a second, what? Like, I need to do the history on it. How the fuck you got that nickname, my nigga? Because, I don't
know who else? You know who else is like that with the name? Especially when I listen to the album over again, is Mr. Long from Black Sheep. Mr. Long, like, especially like the skits and the innuendo, man. It's like after a while, it's too much. It's like, yo, I get it, man.
Mr. Long from Black Sheep.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
See, we going too deep. This gets starting to get a little freaky. I don't want to go too deep now. Like, on the 20 second, we got Mr. Cheeks and Mr. Long. Maybe they need to form a group.
Flag on the play.
Yeah, flag on the play. All right, keep going, Eddie, with Mr. Cheeks.
Yeah, man. No, Mr. Cheeks is dope, man. He's just not lyrical. I mean, I think there was a thread on Twitter where we were talking about some of the weakest lines in hip hop, and we talk about Shorty want to be a lawyer. In other words, Shorty studies law. Like, it's not lyrical, but he knows how to ride the beat. He got this swag to him. He definitely like I don't know, like kind of melodic without being kind of a singy song rapper. He got this melodic quality to his rhymes, you know what I mean? And I think that kind of
bad bangers, the Lost Boys chat.
Oh, yeah.
We was working, Lex Coops, the Beamers, you throw that on at a party at Morgan, man, bro. People was gonna lose their shit. Renee, I've heard people say Mr. Cheeks is one of the dopest storytellers ever, just based off of Renee. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, Vega, I'm with you. Like, we're taking it a tad far, but I mean, fuck it, for shits and giggles, sure. You know, but even the lights, camera, action, like that.
Yeah, exactly. Can't front on lights, camera, action, and the remix was hot too.
Real quick, I had to do some research, so I had to know, right? So,
you like fuck this shit. I'm a dig deep right now. Where does that come from, Dad?
Big Just from the Supreme Team. He told Vlad. He said Big Just from the Supreme Team just randomly called him, "What's good, Mr. Cheeks?" one day, and because Just is like, like that, he felt like, yo, OG, like this dude gave me a nickname, so I'm gonna just rock with it. He said it don't have nothing to do with cheeks or nothing like that. He said it's just some random thing that a drunk dog said in the club, and he just said, "Yo, I'm rocking with it."
Hey, look, it was either.
I'm gonna tell you this: if somebody gives me the nickname Mr. Cheeks, I'm just gonna stay away from them, because in my mind, I don't know what you saw in me for you to give me that name. So I'm gonna have to go to Brooklyn. I may have to say, "Yo, babe, what's up? What's the property value?"
At the risk of my own peril, like if Big Just gave me a nickname of Mr. Cheeks, I'm staying away from Big Just.
Right. Bro, like that. I just started watching The Eyes again. That sounds like an Adabisi thing. Like a nigga Adabisi being like, "Hey, Big Mr. Cheeks, get your ass over here." Like, okay, Adabisi. We gonna try and go to another jail cell. I'm gonna get transferred, but Big Just, I don't want no beef. I don't want no beef. None at all. I'm good. All right, you got Mr. Cheeks. Next up for me, I got Fat Joe. Fat Joe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When Flo Joe came out, you know, again, the beat, Diamond on that Hawaii 5-0 sample, that was crazy. Watch the Sound with Pooba was crazy. Jealous One's Envy, like, you know what I mean? One of the best step-up games, Vague. We just talked about it last week on the 95 show, you know what I mean? And then you got Don Cartagena with that Just Blaze joint. So, again, Fat Joe, whose name has still been able to be relevant. You know, I'm watching this Angie Martinez special with Life After Death, and Fat Joe is not like you Google Fat Joe and a picture come up from 1994. Like, the dude has found a way to keep himself relevant. You know what I mean? Whether it's Lean Back with Terror Squad, whether it was that All the Way Up with Remy, like, again, not the greatest MC, but the man has got, I mean, Lean Back was one of the biggest songs of whatever years are lost to me now, but whatever year that was, Lean Back was the shit, you know what I mean? And All the Way Up was the shit. So, I mean, again, I gotta go with Fat Joe, you know, very good to very good MC. Vegas broke my heart last week when I thought he just stepped up his rap game, and now I'm finding out Pun may have been writing some of them rhymes on Jealous One's Envy, you know what I mean? I'm naive, y'all. I just come from the school of like, yo, Chad again, man. We went to Morgan and we'd be rapping. If something wasn't good, Vegas wouldn't be like, let me write it for you. I just had to keep on writing. So I'm thinking these niggas are in the gym getting their bars up, and you know, it never happens like that. So, but I'm definitely saluting Fat Joe because he's made some dope albums and some dope songs. God, who you got up next, bro?
All right, so this one might be a little controversial. I don't think it's too controversial, but I got Busta Rhymes. Superstar, you know what I'm saying? Dope MC, but he was never a swordsman. He was never elite like that. Like, in the era he came out in, like, it took me, I'm a little younger, so, you know what I'm saying? The era Bust came out in, like, it took me a while to warm up to Bust, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, just energy straight out the gate, character straight out the gate, another artist that was dope at making songs and bangers, and you know what I'm saying. But to me personally, Bus ain't even really start trying to like focus on lyricism until like the 2000s. Like, he had certain joints here and there between that run from like The Coming and like maybe I feel like maybe around Anarchy is when he really started trying to focus on his pen. Like, before that, maybe Rhymes Galore, Things We Be Doing for Money, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. Like, I just never, and I love Bus. This is definitely no slight. I love Bus. But I never really got the feeling from Bus that he was trying to be a top tier MC. I mean, you out at the same time with all the Wu-Tang niggas, Nas, Biggie, you know what I'm saying? Like, the league is very deep at that time as far as, you know what I'm saying, all-time great MCs. So it's like, I don't even think Bus really tried to attempt to hang his hat on that. I think he found his niche and his lane early and he just rolled that out. But yeah, salute to the OG, but I got Bus.
No doubt. My fault, I forgot my R&B again. I'm going with Ashanti. Prime example of somebody who is great hook singers. You know, What's Love with Fat Joe. We just talking about Fat Joe. I forgot about What's Love. That was my shit. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Always on Time. I ain't the biggest Ja Rule song, but Always on Time is probably one of my favorite bangers in the past 23 years. You know what I mean? So again, not the greatest singer. And truth be told, on the low, I love her first album. There's some bangers on that first album. I know most hip-hop heads haven't heard it. I rock with Ashanti's first album. That joint with The Rain on Me, with Lorenz Tate in the video with him beating her ass, I thought that shit was dope. So again, nobody's ever gonna be like Ashanti, take us to church, but I definitely think that she's a good singer and she does what she does well. Vegas smiling with, oh, my fault, God.
I ain't do an R&B list, but two that come to mind, and I don't know why they came to mind at the same time. I didn't plan this, but Aaliyah and that nigga R. Kelly.
He said Candyman. Oh shit. Everybody hide your daughters, man. Don't say that shit 3 times in the mirror, man. Your daughter wake up missing, man. I don't fuck with Candyman. But it's funny that you said Aaliyah. I agree. You know, I don't think she was ever gonna, you know, blow the house down. But again, she did. I think that's the thing with R&B. Like, if you're a great entertainer, that can kind of move you past being not a great singer. Like, Aaliyah to me is more known for her dancing than probably for her actual singing. You know, like, JR, tell me what you think. I mean, like, I remember back in the day with Janet, it was like, yo, what's the choreography? You know what I mean? Like, you know, I remember Are You That Somebody? That video was the choreography. That's what caught everybody.
Right. That was a switch, because before then I think everybody was focused on Aaliyah's swag, and that's what did it for her when she first came out. It was the swag that she had. Then once she got with Timbaland and them, and then the choreography started happening, then you can focus on that. You know what I mean? And then it was just the whole package of her. You didn't really focus on her vocals because you had two of the girls that was in her competition that can actually blow. You know what I mean? So it was like, all right, Aaliyah, the girl that's gonna, she's Little Janet, basically. So,
but music wise, just like how he said, how like when she got with Timbo, Missy, and Buddy from Player, Static Major, like they did her right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They kept her in her pocket and they made joints that was tailor made for her. So I think that definitely did her very well. So yeah, I definitely co-sign what JR said.
And that's a good point, JR, about her swag, because when she was with Candyman, like, she lived in the vibe. Like, she lived in vibe. It was always the Hill Figure ad. She always stayed, like you said, with the swag of the hair over the eye, and other shorties trying to grow their hair like that and wearing the cut-off shirts and everything like that. So great point about the swag. Because I think, like we're saying, Bobby, outside of Mary and that same dance move she's been doing for the past 25 years, you got everybody we named, Bobby, Aaliyah, you know, Janet, they great performers, you know, so it's kind of like that can help, you know, and then you got some great singers who can't perform, you know what I mean? So again, it's the back and forth of it. So, Veg, who you got up next?
Yeah, same thing with some rappers, right? Some really lyrical rappers who just really walk back and forth. But then there's some performers who may not be as dope lyrically, but they can perform their ass off. I had Fat Joe, I had Busta, so I'm gonna go with Guru. I always felt like you said, there was a point in time where it became about bars, like that kind of became the standard, unfortunately for everybody. And to me, it pointed out to me as a Gangstar fan how better some of these guys were than what Guru does. Because when it was like daily operation, he was fine, you know, to me. Like, he was one of the dope MCs to me.
Right.
But then when you
which
get
is like 91.
Right. Then when you get the Nas's and the Woos and all of that, then it kind of stands out when you hear Guru again, and you're just like, oh, he's a little bit more basic in comparison to them. But yeah, man, and you know, I always harp on the Lemonade line because people's comeback is like, oh, but it's true. I'm like, motherfucking Kool-Aid's good too. Like, what the fuck? So what?
But it's true. Lemonade is popular. Hell, I'm drinking some Zero freshly squeezed lemonade right now. You know, it's
right? Like,
you know,
that's not a bar, right? Oh, well, one thing too, Kill, because you talked about, you know, like what was the, I guess the measuring stick, or how did we come with our 5? And I think another thing, you know, I think about is like for Guru, for example, you know, he's not this lyrical miracle type of cat, but I always felt like his music was meaningful in another way. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a songwriter, not that MCs who are really lyrical can't be that, but there's a difference between Guru and Tupac and Black Thought and Eminem. You know what I'm saying? It's just a really big difference between the two. So again, good MCs, just not, I would never put them in the top tier. That's all.
I laugh at Guru because if people follow long enough, you know, Yao is not a Guru fan. You know, we did a March Madness bracket, and it was Guru. Like, Guru was an 8 seed and Snoop was a 9 seed, and we all voted Guru, and Yao was outside of himself. Like, yo, what the fuck is going on, y'all? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Like, this nigga ain't even fucking nice. I'm like, fuck is you talking about? He's like, yo, it's 100. I can name 150 MCs better than Guru. I'm like, y'all, what the fuck is you talking about? And this nigga, over Christmas break, I'm in Harlem. This nigga comes to the crib with a list like, bang, there, 150. This nigga wrote 150. I said, my nigga, you really did this? He was like, yeah. And this is what put me on the Fred the Godson, because I had never heard of Fred the Godson. I said, who the fuck is Fred the Godson who's better than Guru? You got some mixtape rapper from the BX? Now I love Fred. You know, God bless the dead.
That was after he
love
died,
Fred.
or what?
No. This is before. This is way before he died. This is way before. But I was just like, yo, you just naming any nigga. You just naming niggas you see on a train every day who's better than Google. But I think the thing, Veg, to your point, one of everybody knows my Black Thought challenge. You gotta name 15 songs where Black Thought actually raps about something and it can't be a girl. I've completed that challenge for Common and Google. You know what I mean? So it's a testament that Google can write songs about different soliloquy of chaos. This nigga was talking about joints getting shot up back in 90, 91. We didn't even get the equipment out. He could tell you JFK to LAX. He could tell you, different stories and things like that. I mean, the longevity, Google popped up in 88 when I'm in 8th grade. And Moment of Truth, what came out after I graduated college? Like, that's a hell of a run. Now, of course, we gotta give Premier some props, for that too. But you still had to be able to do something. Lil Dap and Malachi couldn't do that. You know what I mean? So we gotta give Google some type of credit, like you said, Beg, for being a good songwriter, because he can write some good songs.
Yeah, and
He just got lost in that. He got lost in that jazz stuff, man. He got lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say that even though the Lemonade joint was always a joke, there was one line he said that wasn't like some kind of crazy bar, but I thought it was clever, because in Soliloquies of Chaos, when he referred to the cats that was shooting the shit up as the stupid nigga playoffs, I was like, damn, that's kind of a dope way of putting it. You know what I'm saying? Like, stupid nigga playoffs. Okay, I like that. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. So again, nothing but all this show is about is giving flowers.
And I was gonna say, Full Clip is probably the dopest greatest hits collection in hip hop. Like, I'll put it up there. That
I'm not mad at it. And I love the 2 extra songs, All for the Cash. And what was the other joint on there? I forgot. They had like 2 bonus songs on there. But Full Clip was the bonus joint too. All for the Cash. Veg, I remember one year it was 889 and we were doing the fundraiser, and that was like my title. I started every hour off with that, All for the Cash. Like, yo, nigga, we here for money. We fundraise for 889. Every hour on the hour we played All for the Cash, which is actually a dope story too. You know what I mean? So again, Google can tell some stories. They may not be as intricate as Nas telling a story backwards, but he can tell some stories. Chad, what you got up next, good brother?
All right. I wanted to say somebody that I knew nobody was really gonna go to, right? My other one is MC Ren, because I think he slept on. Like, my favorite NWA song is Always Into Something, and Ren bodies that. I don't know if he wrote it or whatever. I don't know none of the credits or none of that. But I know that, Ice Cube was who he was, right? He had his influence. But as far as Ren, he was the only one that had any kind of skill from NWA that just wasn't shock value. You know what I mean? So I always kind of gave Ren. I always looked at Ren as the one that I was pulling from NWA, and like nobody ever mentions him. You know what I mean? Like for no reason. But because my personal, like I said, I was going along my personal favorites, right? So like my personal favorite NWA song is Always Into Something, and that's one that Ren bodied. So like that's a standout, at least song for me, and that's like enough for me. You know what I mean? Like I don't need the MC Ren, and I don't remember hating MC Ren album. I don't remember listening to it twice. Well,
we never really got the MC Ren album we wanted. That's one of them albums that I feel like hip hop owes us. I feel like hip hop owes us like a MC Ren album, like pre-Chronic, like in between Deep Cover and the Chronic. There should have been an MC Ren album there. Yeah. Because that would have been Dre. Yeah, that would have been Dre at his best.
So R&B one, right? So I'm good. I got the criteria now. So it's not the standout vocalist, right? But it's a performer, somebody that got a lot of joints that kind of hits, right? Ali is definitely up there and all that. That was one of the ones I thought of earlier. But I think of someone like Brandy, right? Like Brandy, you're not asking Brandy to
stop. Just pause. Just pause. I gotta defend Brandy. I actually, and again, this is what everybody take. I actually think Brandy's a 5 mic singer.
But you said it wasn't negative, so I don't mean the negative.
Okay, no, I feel what you're saying. I feel exactly what you're saying.
I don't know if JR is frozen
Like-
or shot.
Oh no! I'm waiting for this explanation. Go ahead.
But here's the thing. I'm gonna let you finish, but JR, let me go first.
No, go ahead. No.
I'm gonna intervene.
So when my daughters ask like the device to play, we don't do no endorsement. My daughters asked the device to play the top songs about Brandy. I was like, yo, she really got joints, but there's no range really shown on the joints. But the joints are crazy. Like even me as a grown man, like I know the songs, right? So she got good songs, but I'm not really hearing no range. So I'm not saying that she can't sing. I'm saying that her song repertoire is not as a vocalist. Now, if you ask her to sing at your family reunion and she do Precious Lord at somebody's wake or something, she may kill it, but I never seen that. So I'm not seeing. So like she's not known for that vocal skill. She may have it, but she allowed herself to get in that 90. That 2000s R&B box where it wasn't about vocalists. It was about making just songs that was catchy, and that's all she did. I mean, she got joints. I mean, she's Brandy.
All right, let me say something here. I will say this: living with the singer has shown me a lot of things that I didn't see before just listening, because I'm not an R&B head. I'm a hip hop head, So living with Tanya has shown me, like, yo, do you hear what the fuck she's doing right there? And I'm like, oh, I never paid attention to that before. You know what I mean? So, and Chad, I'm in no way trying to sway you. You feel how you feel. I just know that I've been on that side of the fence with singers, and T has had to show me. And it's the same thing with MCs. I'm a producer. Y'all niggas know I really listen to lyrics like third and fourth after I'm listening to the beat. So a lot of times somebody may have to tell. God, great example. When Nas dropped KD1, I wasn't feeling it. And God was like, dog, yo, Nas is buying this to kill. Like, I challenge you to go back and really, really listen to it. And I went back, and y'all know me, I got no problem saying I was wrong. I was like, nah, KD1, that's still my favorite one out of the trilogy. And I'm probably the only one who feels that way. But Brandy can sing, bro. Like, Brandy, like, that chick is, she's a proud, and again, same thing with Beyonce. I know a lot of dudes who be like, yo, Beyonce can't sing. She's just a great performer. Yo, B can sing. Like, I'll cap for B in a second. But again, it's only because I live with a singer. You know what I mean? And it's only because it's the same way like somebody will hear Dylan and be like, he's cool, but kill, why is he your GOAT? And then I'm able to break down and strip back all the things that the average listener isn't listening to for them to be like, oh shit, I didn't realize all that. So I'm not in no way trying to sway you, but I can't say Brandy is a hell.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but like when like there's never been a conversation in which she's come up as one of the top vocalists.
It depends on which
circles I mean? So she doesn't get her shine in that light, right?
It depends on which circles you're in. Like for instance, if you're
I'm not big in the Brandy circle.
Right. So that not just like in Brandy circles, but just in R&B circles. And what I mean by that is like, if you only listen to the hits, you know what I mean? Like like how I always tell people ask me something about Pac, I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna have to pass you off the porch because I'm not a big Pac fan. So I can't really tell you. All I know is the singles. I can't talk about no album cuts or nothing like that. So a lot of the singles, I agree with you. I don't think that she's showing range on The Boy Is Mine. Or maybe she is, JR. I don't know.
Yeah. And
but when you start diving into the album cuts, she's
right.
She's,
if you look at, I get that. I'm not, and like I said, I'm not saying that she can't. I'm saying
right.
that
You're
in
just
her,
saying that
in
you
her
haven't
rich
heard.
repertoire, right? But also in conversations, like when people, whenever there's a thread or a conversation about the top vocalists of the generation, she just doesn't come up in that conversation. I'm not saying that she can't. I'm just saying that there's a lot of people that there's background singers that can out-sing a lot of people that are featured artists. You know what I mean? So that's not even you know what I'm saying? So like it's not necessarily about talent, it's the talent that we've been exposed to. You know what I mean? Right. So and like if the next time I see a thread that Brandy's one of the top 50 vocalists of our generation of our lifetime will be the first time.
Now,
right? So that's why
hold on for a second, Jay. I want to put a pin in that real quick because I know God has to go. But I want to kind of, JR, you'll be up next. I'm writing this down now so I don't forget. But
Hey, Q, that's good. I got to like 9:30 my time.
All right, bet. So you got some more time. All right, cool. JR, who you got next? Or would you like? Is this like a court case? Would you like to respond? Or?
No, because I mean, this is people's opinion for real. But I mean, Brandy for real can sing her ass off, like for real, and all the kind of list that comes out, Brandy is always on it as a top female.
And JR, just for a second, and Chad, the reason why I was saying that is because I don't find myself around R&B people. You know what I mean? I find myself around hip hop people. So even when I was in some conversations, the niggas was like, "Yo, Brandy's the R&B Bible," and I was like, "What the fuck? Y'all are calling her the Bible?" And I had to call JR like, "Yo, niggas be calling this chick the Bible," and he was like, "Bro, yes." Like, and then when you start looking at a lot of these younger singers, these Chris Browns, this new generation of singers, they praise the ground Brandy walks on, like literally praises it. But again, me being a hip hop nigga, I would never know. So if you take T out my life and JR out of my life, I'm right with Chad. I'm like, yo, Brandy, she all right. Do you know what I mean? But it's only because I live with a singer and I'm friends with this dude who's the R&B guru. Because yo, I was blown. I'm like, the vocal Bible, like.
Well, I ain't with that name, but.
So, but JR, who you got up next, bro? For your
I got a lot of people don't even talk about. I'm gonna say Darnell Jones.
Damn, my whole list gone. Shit.
I'm sorry. A lot of people, he's dope, like a songwriter, all that good stuff. But we not gonna talk about vocals because it seems like after every album, Darnell gets worse and worse and worse and worse.
Like worse as a singer or just worse?
Yes,
as music he
as a
out?
singer. Yes, after his first album was My Heart Was Cool. Like that was his introduction of him. But where I want to be is that's when he's at his best, right? Yeah. Then he goes, My Life Goes On, which is cool. Then he gets to Journey of a Gemini, which was dope. After Journey of a Gemini, it just gets bad and bad and bad. And then him even live, you be like, yo, really? Like, this is bad. Like, nah.
Now, what do you think? I mean, is this like alcohol? Is this smoking? Like because you're saying his voice is getting worse, right?
I mean, I didn't even think he was the greatest singer to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't that. I think he was just an amazing
So, like,
writer.
you already started at a 3. And
like, he was already like a 3 for me. Yeah. So then, by the time, it got further along, it was like, oh, man, like, this dude is not the greatest any freaking way. So, but he's still dope. You know what I'm saying? He done wrote for so many people and all that good stuff. But as a vocalist, I'm not. I'm good.
Question. Difference between R&B and hip hop. Mm-hmm. Do you think with R&B, I feel like as long as you make a good song, that's it. I don't feel like the average listener is really dissecting, did you hit that note, did you do this, did you do that? Hip hop, I feel like hip hop heads are always dissecting something. You know what I mean? We got the magnifying glass out and we're like, oh, that's that, and that's a double entendre, and that's this, and that's the way he did that. Like, I feel like maybe R&B people we're more lax. Or it's like, as long as it's a good song, nobody's really, or I'm sorry, because I'm not an R&B head. So let me ask you. So when
really, and I knew you was going to ask that question when we got further along. When did it change? And that's when I think, again, before the 2000s, we were very like in these R&B heads' pocket. It didn't matter if it was a good song or not, but it was such a balance of it all. So it was like, okay, we had, because I mean, in the 90s, we didn't have the greatest singers either, but the songs were great, but then we also had a balance too. You know what I'm saying? So if you had TLC as a group where we know they're not the best singers at all, but then you had SWV Coco who's blowing everybody out the water. So it was like, you had a balance then. You know what I mean? So by the 2000s is really when it was like, okay, you can have whatever, because the whole thing changed, because then producers started getting more love than the freaking singers. Like, it just...
But here's the question. Yeah. TLC is more popular than SWV.
Yes.
Yep.
But TLC are the group that can't sing. as good as SWV. So do you think that made a change too? Like the people who can sing ain't telling them.
Well, TLC also had a better backing behind them too. They had a better backing. Like SWV had a little bit of poster in the back, and TLC had all the posters in the front, and everybody.
But then also, I think for me at least, TLC had the swag. Like,
yeah,
I don't know anybody.
And in the production,
I don't know anybody who was sitting around talking about, yo, I got Taj and I got Lily. I've never heard that conversation a day in my life. But I've been with niggas like, nah, I'm with Chili. Nah, I'm fucking with Left Eye. Nah, I'm fucking with T-Boz. Like, so to me, they had more sex appeal. They was cuter. They, they kind of had the Aaliyah swag to them before the Aaliyah swag. I remember seeing a video like, damn, Shorty got a condom on her eye, or with the pants hanging down. Like, yeah. They got the Timberlands, they got the boots, so they had that look. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just
Coco over everybody.
What'd you say?
Coco over everybody.
Everybody.
You pick them. And if it was versus Coco versus Chili for look.
Coco killing. Again, Chili to me was the female equivalent of Ricky Bell for New Edition. Ricky comes in with that one little part. Mama said one day it was going. What's the song, JR? Y'all know the fucking song. Mama told me one day it was gonna happen, but she never told me what. Ricky comes in and sings that little bridge. The same thing with Chili. Chili's gonna come in and say, y'all know the goddamn words of these songs. Y'all know I don't know words.
No, I want to hear you sing the one part.
The hook. We all know T-Boz really can't sing. She's got the deep voice, and she's kind of just.
Yeah, Chili did she did that part on Real Life Special. She did the bridge.
That's when you started.
Right, that's what Chili does. She bridge.
Eddie, don't you want to hear Kill sing his favorite?
I don't want to hear him sing Real Life Special, but. Okay, I'm just wondering. All right, so cool. We're gonna get into this after Eddie's last person. Eddie, who you got up next?
Oh man. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Missy. Missy's interesting because Missy gets mentioned, but she gets mentioned by like the publications that a lot of heads don't respect, right? But Missy is really dope at what she does. I think why it makes the heads upset is because she gets mentioned above like the MC Lights and Rod Diggers and all them who came before who put in the work lyrically, right? But you still gotta respect Missy, not only for what she does as a rap artist, but her songwriting, her production, her all of that, right? And just as an artist, she's like super dope as an artist. And I mean, it's like, I love what she does. It's just hard to compare her with another female MC because she's so different,
The funny thing for me is I've never looked at Missy as an MC. I don't know where I've ever categorized Missy, but like in my head, I've just never looked at her like as a female MC. I don't know what I looked at her as because I guess she's not a singer. I feel like because when I listened to the joint that she got with the Brad off the first album that I love with the Delphonic sample, JR, what's the name of that joint? Sock It To Me. She's basically singing. You know what I mean? She's really not rapping. She's singing, and then the Brat comes in and does the thing. And the I Can't Stop the Rain, I'm like, I wouldn't even say that that's rapping to me, what she's doing. You know what I mean? But I know more people do think of her as a rapper. I'm just probably in the minority of people. I mean, God, Vague, what do you see Missy as? Like, you throw her under MC or singer? Like, where do y'all put her?
I would call her a rapper before I call her a singer.
Okay.
I like the way she was singing on that LSG song.
That joint is crazy. That joint is crazy.
Because I was like,
that's like probably the most slept on posse R&B song in the history of posse R&B songs.
Absolutely. But yeah, I would look at her more as a rapper. I think the time she dropped, she was a little unconventional. And, it was hard to categorize her in a lot of ways when you think about I Can't Stand the Rain and her flow.
Right.
She was kind of in a bag a little bit because she wasn't flowing in a way that made you comfortable in the same way that Dilla didn't make beats in the way you hear rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So,
even like her verse on that Cold Rock the Party joint, I mess with that verse.
Right.
And again, here's the thing. I always tell people, if I was an A&R, that's I would have got fired because I thought Missy was whack. When I heard that on the Gina Thompson remix with the he, I was like, yo, fuck it, get out of here. It's a rap. Like, I would have lost my job because they would have like, yo, you could sign Missy and you went, oh, nigga, you fired. Like, I have no problem admitting that. I would have dropped the bag on Missy because I did not see the vision at all. The next person I'm gonna say is kind of gonna segue into what kind of changed, and that's AG. Andre the Giant from Digging in the Crates, Showbiz and AG. 90 again, Chad, 92, freshman year, Baldwin Hall. Runaway Slave got played so much in our dorm. Fat Pockets, 40 Acres in my props, like that whole album was just crazy. And I feel like 92 was like that last year that you could get away with being an average MC. Like, AG, what you got, something, babe?
No, just go ahead. I'll wait till you finish.
I just felt like AG because, and it's kind of like we talked about on 95 with their next album, Goodfellas. Like, it was, they were still doing jazzy beats in 95, and that shit got played out. Like, nobody wanted to hear that shit, which is why that Next Level Premiere remix is really what set that album off. I just felt like AG couldn't, I just felt like after the 93, like if you weren't 4 bars or better, it was gonna be a hard road for you. Like, it was gonna be a real tough uphill climb. And again, for Guru, he had Premier. I mean, you got the dopest producer maybe ever, in your corner. So, you had that, but I just feel like that was the last year. But why do you all feel like, one, do you agree? And two, if you do, what do you think changed from the 80s, where you could have your Kanes, Rakims, and G-Raps, but then you could also have your Kid and Plays, you could have your D-Nices, you could have your Stetsasonics, you could have your, your Salt and Peppers. I mean, you could have your Will Smiths. I could go on and on for how many good MCs they were in the 80s, with maybe only 4 to 5 high caliber 5 mic MCs. But once the 90s came, I felt like you didn't have that anymore. Like, to me, that's one of the reasons why. I mean, I think DMC said somewhere, like when he heard Rakim, he was like, damn, we kind of done. Like, if this is where y'all are going, we can't go. So you saw so many groups like Houdini fall off. Houdini was the shit in 85, 86. But by the time 89 came, there wasn't nobody trying to hear no Houdini. I remember when I brought the Open Sesame album, I said, these niggas on a goddamn flying carpet. Like, nigga, what are y'all doing? And this is the album cover? Like, nigga, have you seen Big Daddy Kane's album cover? And y'all on a goddamn flying carpet? Like, nigga. Like, so what do you think changed in the 90s where we no longer could coexist and you had to be? And I really want to hear from God in Vegas because they're MCs. So it's like, what do you guys think changed in the 90s that we couldn't do that anymore?
I think, and I was very young at this time, but looking back and just, putting the pieces together that I could remember and just knowing the knowledge of what shit was, I feel like hip hop was still very, very new at the time. You know what I'm saying? It was like early 90s shit was still very new. So when niggas like Nas and shit start appearing, and it's like niggas is innovating, like coming with whole new rhyme styles, which may be influenced from MCs of like the 80s, like G-Rap, you know what I'm saying, Kane and Rakim, but like it was still very new, and it was a lot of room for improvement. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like, I'm not mad at nobody that say that the 80s is the golden era, but I feel like the 90s is the golden era because shit was so diverse. Like, niggas was coming up with all types of crazy different flows, like rapping like nobody have ever heard before, and I just felt like it was such a early time. I feel like the 90s was the toddler stages of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's like it was just learning to walk and catch his legs and shit like that, and niggas is just like, it got to and plus the generational thing too. Right now you got a whole new generation coming in the 90s, and it's like, younger motherfuckers is kind of rebellious. It's kind of like, you don't necessarily want to be under the old guard, not to be disrespectful and call them the old guard, but the OGs, people who came before. So I just think with the innovation, because niggas was undeniably like setting a bar higher than it had ever been. I just think it was so much room for improvement, and with a newer generation of fan and a newer generation of MC coming at that time, it's kind of like the bar was set so high. It's like, and plus, back in the 80s, niggas was still like wearing costumes and shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like now you get into street shit. You know what I'm saying? So you get into a whole different dynamic, and like it was so much changing from the era of like the Furious 5 and even Run DMC to like now you got the early 90s and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it was just so much from what I could see looking back, even though I was like a shorty. It's just like it was a lot happening. You know what I'm saying? And if you wasn't really paying attention, it's kind of like you either got stuck here or you was over here with it. But I just think it was so much happening. But I think mainly it was just kind of like a lot of room for improvement. Niggas was like innovators, really innovators, and then just that new generation of fan and MC coming up that kind of like made that divide. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Meg, what you think, bro?
Yeah, I feel the same way. When you look at the 80s, especially early 80s into the late 80s, you can see the evolution of how they presented the music lyrically, or how they delivered. But I think the 90s was just different because it focused way more on wordplay than it did, like routines, right? Because a lot of that whole routines from the early 80s was still there in the late 80s, right? It was just in a different way. But then the 90s kind of just put a cap on that and just decided, rappers decided to be more risky, right? Like, let's rhyme. Let's not rhyme that way. Let's rhyme this way. Busta Rhymes is basically chanting, right? He's basically doing dance hall, but he's rapping. You know what I'm saying? So think different things like that of people kind of giving themselves an identity beyond their name, beyond their look, really creating an identity with their lyrics and their delivery. I think that was what made things change. And I was gonna say, I always thought AG was whack, even back then. And I had Runaway Slave, and I played it to death. But there was just something about him because the giant is greater. So step back. I'm like, this beat is too high. You just start the record like that, like, you know what I'm saying? But I think he was a product of a different time, right? Because some of these cats were like the king on their block at one point, but maybe they didn't come out like, until later. Like when I always used to hear the Locks talk about DMX in that way, and I used to be like, y'all way better than him. But DMX was the man at a certain time. He just didn't have a deal, right? So, and the game was different when he dropped. But he was able to do what he did. So I think it just, I don't know. It was just a change. I think the West Coast had a lot to do with, the era of the Nas's and the reality rap and all of that, because they decided, right? Like, this is how we dress on a block. This is how we are on the video. We gonna talk about what's happening out here. And the East Coast eventually had to catch up, and it never went back. You know what I'm saying? But we just focus more on lyrics than anything.
Right. Chad, what about you? What do you think made the change from being able to have all these good groups and good MCs to you can't be good no more. You got to be great. Like, to get in the ring, you got to be great.
Man. I think it was Vanilla Ice getting paid. You know what I mean? It was the bread. You know what I mean? It was the bread. It's like people was getting paid for being whack. So it's like, yo, if you're not gonna get paid, you're not gonna be whack too. You know what I mean? And it's like it was just like we were big on that crossover. Like when EPMD did the song "Took the Crossover," right? You know what I mean? It's like it was a big deal. Like, are you trying to? It was that song was so important. I always looked at it like it was real important because people were like, "Yo, are you crossing over or not?" It was a real thing. Like, are you trying to go over here, or are you over here? And if you over here, you got to be nice because we don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? So I think that like that's what really it was, the money, but then it was like how people was like intentional about crossing over. You know what I mean? Like, people would make songs and you could tell, oh, this they rate. That was the start of the radio song. You know what I mean? This is the drink for the radio. Right. Like, even Biz, remember Biz even had that song, "This is something for the radio." You know what I mean? Right. Like, it was an overt attempt to try to appeal to people that wasn't us, so we hated it. You know what I mean? So then we just became more protective. Like, yo, if you're not crossing over, you gotta be nice, or we don't even want to hear it. You know, I think it was really that. Like, and that's why I always like that song Crossover by with EPMD, because like they were like strictly underground funk, keep the crossover.
Right. I'm strictly hip hop. I stick to Kid Capri.
You know
like, it was very. Yeah, it was like I see what you're saying. It's like it was drawing a line in the sand. Like, which side are you gonna be on? And if you on this side, then you better be dope as shit. Because if you come borderline whack, you on that side.
Right. If G-Rap would have been platinum, it wouldn't have been no conversation. It would be good. You could do whatever you want. But because the G-Raps never really got they shine the way that they could have or should have. You know what I mean? It didn't really, it put us in a box, especially when hip hop left New York, right? Once the hip hop left New York, we became even ultra protective. Like, boom bap is all we had. Right. You know what I mean? Everybody else was doing the commercial stuff and crossing over and selling millions off of what people were protective of over here. You know what I mean? So once they was gone, it was like, yo, what the hell?
It's so funny how shit like that happens. Where there's a minute in time when you didn't want the parent advisory sticker, that was a death blow. Then there was another time when you wanted the sticker, and then there was a time that if you went platinum, you was a sellout. Then fast forward 2 years, if you don't go platinum, you ain't shit. Like, hip hop is almost like trying to keep your wife happy. It's like, okay, but you like roses. No, you like tulips now. Okay, my fault. You want to go here? Oh, okay, my bad. You want to come around here? Like, you was almost playing like a game of double dutch with hip hop. Like, what makes you happy today? Like, what makes you happy tomorrow? Like, I can't keep up. What you gonna say, Bag?
I was gonna say, we did this on my podcast with Tone, That Time of Hip Hop. We did 50 years of hip hop, and now that we're reaching 50 years of hip hop, you gotta kind of look at it like a child coming of age, right? Like, it was the early years, we was just doing what we did, right? So people like Busy B was okay, and then there was Kumo D, and it was like, well, shit, we like that, right? And you find a little money in the shiny suit era. Gonna be a little ignorant, maybe that's your 20s or, saying on your teens or whatever. And not that it's that mature today with social media, but I think as people who are hip hop fans who can look at the whole 50 years, we just have a different outlook when we're critiquing MCs, when we're listening about the music, because we have the context of this thing being this age. As opposed to when we was younger, them rules kill. Because I'm with you. We was straight up like, oh, you biting his shit, get off the block. Your whole family got to move. But you hit his rhymes.
Right. That ass.
Right. Not knowing that ghostwriting was taking place back then when we had all these damn rules.
Right.
So now it becomes more acceptable. It's like, yeah, I know they wrote Drake didn't write that, but the shit hot. Who cares? Now we don't really care as much. So it's kind of some of that, but yeah.
JR, what about you? Do you you gonna say something, God?
Nah, just like as an MC, just being an artist, it's kind of like never wanting to lose the context of where this shit started from. Not saying it got to remain there at all times and not evolve and not expand, but just not losing it. Like, I feel like it's been so many attempts to like push that shit all the way out the picture and like make rap and hip hop not even about skill at all, because we got to remember, like, for a long fucking time, the industry dictated what it was, you know what I'm saying? And us just as people and fans, we follow what we think is the leader. We follow the industry had the last say. The industry made a lot of these fucking rules, like all that ageism, all that type of shit. Like, the industry created a lot of that shit. A lot of that shit didn't come from the street. We didn't start these rules or these prerequisites of what had to happen. Now, the more pure shit as far as the biting and being original, like, yeah, but for shit, Vanilla Ice was a carbon copy of fucking MC Hammer. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the industry has no moral or no code of ethics. This is whatever could make the most money. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of shit was like made popular by the industry. It was industry standards. So I feel like hip hop is that kid whose parents split up early on in life, and you know what I'm saying, he spent time over here, he spent time over there, and it's like motherfucker could be either or on any given day. You know what I'm saying? It's however the fuck they feel on that day. You know what I'm saying? But just
And I think to me,
get this shit too.
and I think that to me is one of the reasons why I love the '80s, because I felt like it was pure. The industry didn't know what to do with hip hop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Until after Straight Outta Compton, then it was like, oh shit, we can sell 1 million records. Like, it was kind of like, just go in the studio and do you. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking about what you said. Like, I remember when Mace came out, and I was like, yo, this nigga's whack. And niggas was like, nah, but have you heard Murder Mace? And I'm like, nah, I ain't never heard Murder Mace. I just know the Bad Boy Mace, you know? And it was like, oh no, he was nasty, but then Puff just wanted him to rap like this. You know what I mean? Or like I always talk about the Cassidys, the Fabs. I remember niggas telling me about Fab, and I'm like, niggas like, yo, he nice. Now I hear him on the Little Mo stuttering. I'm like, this stuttering niggas, who the fuck y'all talking about? I know it's Fab Sport, you know, or I'd be talking about Cassidy, and then I'd be, oh, this nigga's the nastiest. Then they like, this nigga with Hotel, with Candyman, with the mask on, like, this is your man? Like, so it's like you have these incredible MCs, but then they're dumbing down their sound to kind of like, well, I guess a smidgen of what you were talking about with Fifth. Like, he's not that MC, but he became this MC to be able to sell records, because now at that time in the game, it was about selling records. That was your braggadocious. It was the 50 versus Kanye. We gonna come out the same day. Who's gonna sell more records? You know, that would have been no shit in the 80s. Rakim and Kane ain't gonna come out on the same day and say, let's see who sells more records. Nah, we just gonna battle. Like, it ain't gonna be, we ain't gonna let the people out here and the record sales dictate who wins this. But by the time you got the Kanye and 50, that's who won. You know, it was that perception. JR, what do you think changed? Do you think anything changed particularly? Or even for R&B, what do you think kind of changed going into the 80s? Because in the 80s, we're still dealing with the real singers. We're dealing with the Peebles and the Luthers.
It's when hip hop started to become mainstream. That's what changed R&B as well. Because, like you said, back then, the imaging wasn't the issue because everybody was wearing suits and dresses. So what more did you need? There was no image to be for anybody to care about. But once Jodeci came out looking like that and, you know, looking hood, everything changed. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, we're paying attention to that. This is the focus. And then once Mary came along, the girls are looking at her. Because before then, it was like, we like Whitney. We like, you know, Janet. Before then, girls was related to her. But before then, it was like the Whitneys and the Mickey Howards and all those women. But then once Mary came, it was like, oh, we like her. We can relate to her. She looks like her. And we all know vocally Mary ain't fucking with them. You know what I'm saying? So once that happened, everything changed. Now labels are like, we want more of that. We want more of her. We want to get more of that. And that's why.
Not Miss Jones. There was another one who was out. God, I forgot.
Monifa?
Nah, it'll come to me. It was, but I see what you're saying. Like, it was like, we need a Mary, because then everybody was singing over our
right.
over
everybody wanted that. So it was like so it built for people like Ashanti to come in and all this. It was just that whole Mary thing. It was like a gift and a curse, actually. And I love her, but it's just the truth. Because now we don't care about the vocals no more. Get a girl, get her on a hook, get her on a hip hop hook, and she good. You know what I mean? It was no longer about that anymore. So,
like, looking at it, like, it's crazy because that time period, like that early to mid 90s bridging of R&B and hip hop, that shit planted the seeds for what R&B is today. Like, everybody say the singers is rapping, and you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it was. You know what I'm saying? Jodeci and Mary J was the new generation, like how I just spoke about the new era of fans and a new generation of fans for rap. You know what I'm saying? The kids who was born in the 80s and now coming of age in the 90s. Mary J and Jodeci was the R&B heads, Nas's and Wu-Tang's and the new legends. So it's like, we love what our parents came up on and what they put us up on, like what we heard them banging while they playing cards or what they was banging while they was cleaning up on Sundays or whatever. We love that. But now we see motherfuckers who look like us. And the sound is more hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So it's more identifiable to the shit that we like. The ballads is cool. Still slap. I still, you know what I'm saying, now today play them joints that I heard my mama playing. but it's like my heart lies in the 90s because they look like me. I could relate. You know what I'm saying? They still could sing. It was still that they might not have been singing like the forefathers and, you know, those that came before them, but it was still an emphasis on can you sing? You know what I'm saying? They were still trying to show range, and it's just evolved so far that now motherfuckers don't even care about singing. They'll hum and moan on a song all day with just a little cadence to it. So it's kind of like Jodeci and Mary J planted the seeds for what we have today in R&B. It's just that at that point in time, we still looked up to who our parents was, you know what I'm saying, listening to. We still respected them.
Because at the end of the day, I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, Freddie Jackson, when he came out, he was still in his 20s. How old did you think Freddie Jackson really was when he first came out?
I thought Freddie Jackson was 45 when he came out.
Yes, especially wearing a cummerbund like he going to prom. Like, are you serious?
Yo, it's funny, Jam, that you say the cummerbund because you made a point. All them singers looked like they was going to the prom. I just saw one of my shorties go on her 8th grade dance, and the dress she had on when you said Mickey Howard, I'm like, yo, I think she had on the same dress Mickey Howard had. Like, you're right. They used to dress like they was going to the prom, like, you know, to perform at the Apollo, you know. So, but yeah, and then I think it's too that you got, because I mean, think about it. Ghost and Ray, they like, yo, we want to get with Jodeci. Ghost and Ray ain't trying to make no song with Luther. You know what I mean? Ghost and Ray ain't trying to get, you know.
They just want their mama to meet Luther. That's it.
Right. And the good thing I loved about Jodeci is I felt Casey could sing. Like, Casey could sing his ass.
He could.
Like, you know, that was the good thing about them. Eddie, what do you think? Any ideas on where the shift happened? Or?
Yeah, I think obviously, like, you talk about the 80s, right? And that's largely considered the golden era, right? Even, you know, the 90s MCs who were influenced, right? They were influenced by the Rakims, the G-Raps, the, you know what I mean, Big Daddy Kane's, the Slick Ricks and all them. Now, you go into the 90s, we start to see the influence of that, but you start to see, you know, a little bit more hardcore lyricism, and I think really it was the success of that, right? I think if MCs were doing it without the level of success, like if you look at NWA, like I know Kill, you talked about that, right? NWA, and then after that, it's like all these clones, right? I think, you know, on the East Coast side, I think really when Biggie blew up with that formula, it just kind of, okay, now the labels are like, okay, we can make money with this, you know, and just, you know,
I mean, yeah, the change in the game from 93 to 96 is uncanny. 92, PMD is saying, still I've never seen one rapper living comfortably. And now in 1996, you got MTV Cribs. You know what I mean? We ain't have no MTV Cribs in the early 90s because niggas was probably still living with their moms. You know, we're probably still living in the project. So that jump right there. And then kind of, Eddie, to what you were saying, again, just to let people know that this isn't a diss show, you have the puns who like talk about G-Rap. You know, you got the Nas's that are talking about the Rakims. You're not finding too many people saying they was influenced by Fruit Quan from Stetson Sonic. You know, you're not finding too many people like, hey, I heard 2 Kid and Play's fucking do this my way, and I want to rhyme like Play. Like, you know, and again, this is no knock, but I'm just saying, like, the people who the next, like God was saying, this next generation, we're looking at those people, the Kanes, the Rakims, and all that. God, I know you gotta get ready to go. Tell them about the new album, where they can get it at, everything like that.
Yes, so the new project just dropped in May 26th. Memorial Day weekend, Bloodstained Suede, you know what I'm saying, produced entirely by the homie Clipto. Gratitude, 8 joints. It's a short play, like 32, 33 minutes, something like that, but it plays out like an album. You know what I'm saying? I'm real big on that detail and that album feel. So yeah, it's exclusively on Bandcamp right now. Physicals, CDs, vinyl will be coming. You know what I'm saying? Definitely gonna make an announcement on that sometime soon in the near future. It'll be on streaming probably by the end of the month, if not early July. But yeah, Bloodstained Suede, that's what I'm on right now, produced entirely by the homie Clipto. Salute everybody who's been supporting and talking about it, you know what I'm saying, Kill, you know what I'm saying, like definitely Eddie, you know what I'm saying, everybody who's been talking about it and, you know what I'm saying, just telling a friend to tell a friend or posting about it or just listening to it, you know what I'm saying, like I appreciate it. But yeah, Bloodstained Suede, available on Bandcamp. I've been tweeting about it crazy, IG, the link is in the bio, you know what I'm saying, on both platforms. So yeah, Bloodstained Suede, that's what we on right now.
Please give him the Bandcamp because niggas are lazy. I told a nigga once, yo, just open a new tab. He's like, you want me to open a whole new tab? Nigga, like you can't open a tab? Like, nigga, like this where we at now? I'm like you want me to open that? Like, goddamn, if it ain't on Apple Music, I'm like, nigga, just open the tab. So I don't want to trust that anybody's gonna click on the bio and link in the bio. What's the Bandcamp so that they can hear it now?
So the Bandcamp is no mediocre. Just replace the O's with X's. So it's NXMEDIXCRE.bandcamp.com. No mediocre. Just take out the 2 O's and replace them with X's. Again, that's NXMEDIXCRE.bandcamp.com. You know what I'm saying? And you can get it there. You know what I'm saying? You can't miss it. Bloodstained Suede. Also, look out for me. I'm on the homie Griffin project he just released, Nuclear Pasta. He just dropped that on the 6th. I'm on a joint with him called God Particle. The homie Raheem Shabazz, the Wise the Dome compilation produced entirely by Furious Styles. I'm on a joint on that one. Also the legendary Traxler. For those who don't know, the legendary Traxler, the producer of Twister's classic Adrenaline Rush. I got a joint on his upcoming project called Chicago, dropping June 16th. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited about that. Look out for me on that. But yeah, right now, Bloodstained Suede, man.
Thank you for spelling that because I don't think the average person can spell mediocre. And then you talking about, well, just take out the O's and put an X. I'm like, this nigga's X, nigga, this is the wrong goddamn division. On a first, nigga, you better spell that. You said so. He's like, oh yeah, just spell mediocre. Put an X. You got it. I'm like, I hope this nigga knows you better spell that. You're missing out on a lot of money, nigga. So,
I'm already
but yeah,
doing,
definitely
man.
salute to you, brother. Salute. I cannot keep saying enough. Chicago showed me so much love. Yes, I had no idea. Y'all, everybody watching this, the Chicago hip hop scene, I did not know how huge it is, how much support it is out there. It was amazing. I can't wait to get back. So appreciate you guys. So definitely check out that album. It's definitely crazy. We just did the spaces last week on it. Very dope discussion on it. So yeah, thank you, bro, for making the time tonight, man.
Yes, I appreciate y'all having me, man. Much love.
No doubt, bro. Always. All right, Vay, who you got up next, man?
What, hip hop or R&B?
Both. Shit, I keep forgetting my damn R&B, man. JR, I'm sorry, man. I keep forgetting R&B. Let me get this over.
Y'all was good last episode. Y'all was
because we ain't getting cursed out by you. I'll make sure of that. Basically, my third was all the Whisper singers. Her, SZA, Summer Walker, Janae Aiko, just all of the Whispers. The Whispers.
Yo, lady, you telling me niggas ain't singing on that? Sure.
On what?
Lady.
What you mean?
The song.
No, I'm talking about all the Whisper singers, all these new girl singers like
oh,
her.
You mean Whisper? I thought you meant the Whispers.
That's
No.
Oh no, I actually didn't after because at first I did too, and then he started naming the girls.
I said the Whispers, not the Whisperers. I apologize. The Whisperers,
right.
The Hers,
Okay.
the Scissors, the Summer Walkers, the Janae Aikos. And again, this is not a knock because I've been banging Summer Walker album to no extent that just came out, the EP that just came out. I just half the time can't tell half of them apart. You know what I mean? Naomi be like, oh, this is her. I'm like, oh, I thought that was SZA. Then she'll be listening to SZA. I'm like, oh, that's her. Like, no, SZA. It's like, well, who's that? That's Janae Aiko. So to me, they're all just whisperers. So not the whispers, but the whisperers. JR, this new Summer Walker, have you heard it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I can tell by the tone in your face. Here's the thing. Yo, is it me or does she sound very Erykah Badu-ish on this?
say like that's a bad thing.
I can give you that.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just a different sound. The thing with
some
Summer,
Ari Lennox on Ari Lennox new project, like that age, sex, location, she gives you Erykah. So a lot of them are really giving you Erykah flavor. So yes, she is.
And no, I wasn't saying it's a bad thing because a lot of people diss Summer Walker, but then the Clear EP that she had out a minute ago is really soulful, and I feel like that's how this one is too. You know what I mean? Like, but when you listen to Over It, there's like it's all London on the track, which is that type of music. Whereas these EPs seem to be like more. And that's why still live bassist, like all live instruments. So I was just saying all the Whisperers. And again, it's no knock because I love SZA. I can literally listen to that album all the way to work and back. So no diss to them. But Vang, who you got up next?
For hip hop, I got Rick Ross. I feel like his subject matter is the same every time. His flow does not change. In some ways, the beats can be similar, but I sign up for it every time, man. I just like the shit. Like I just like the vibe that he creates, you know, the scenery. I mean, I know it may be like DMX said, he talk about food all the time. He does, but who cares? Like, shit sounds good.
X said that about him?
Yeah, you never saw that on
I saw X killing Drake, but I didn't hear him doing Rick.
Oh yeah, he killed Rick.
Yeah, he was like Charlemagne.
Like, how many times you gotta rhyme about food? Like,
right. He was like, yo, the nigga rhyming about food all the time. I was like, oh shit, he does. Like, but you know, I like it though, man. And I think it's one of those things where, you know, you do what works for you. And if the people like it, why switch up? You know, just, you know, and it's crazy because you would think someone doing the same thing every time is gonna get stale. But it took a while for me to look at a Rick Ross album and be like, all right, this one is kind of just.
I didn't really like the last one he dropped.
Me neither.
That didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
For me. And the funny thing with Ross is I got Ross and I got Game, and I always kind of look at them in the same light, like. Because it's always like, yo, if why don't Nas get Rick Ross beats? A Game can pick beats and all this. But I've always looked at like they're average MCs who I've always thought they're average MCs that they know that they need great production to make their average MC-ness seem bigger than what it is. Whereas you have a Nas who will tell you, yo, I don't need the beat because I'm such an elite lyricist. Like the beat needs me. Whereas I feel like Ross and Game are these incredible executive producers when it comes to picking beats, but I've always thought it's because they kind of know deep down inside, like they're like the head coach that get the job that don't deserve it, so they know they got to get some dope assistants on the bench to help them out. Like, I don't really deserve this job. But
I don't know if I agree with that.
What's up? Why you say?
Because I think it's just like ball, right? Everybody think they're gonna be the man, you know, and they kind of shoot for that. So I think to them, they killing it, right? But to us, we may say, well, you ain't that, you know, you good, right? But you're not that. But I think to them, you know, especially Game, he says it all the time. I think he thinks every time he has the album of the year, sometimes he has a really dope album, and sometimes he has shit where it's like, yeah, that shit was trash. You were trash, and the beat was trash.
Right. And again, that's just my thought. But then, like you said, duly right, I'm sure. I don't know. I wonder if as an MC, can you think I'm just okay? Like
probably today, right?
Right, because I'm just thinking, but see, that's because I never loved ball. Like when I used to play ball in high school, I knew I wasn't good. Like there was no, I was below average. You know what I mean? But I didn't love ball. Like I didn't play for my high school team. I just would hoop in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? But I knew I was always going to be the last nigga pick. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm not that good, so I knew that. But I also didn't look at myself as a basketball player. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering can you know as an MC, I'm not that great? Or, well, you know what they do? Because people send me shit all the time. Like, yo, check out my new EP. This shit is the shit. And I'm like, it's the shit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you may be right.
Look,
so
you can look at it. You can look at it this way. Like when you name in the Game and Rick Ross, they're in the league.
Right.
Like they're already in the league. So they're not gonna think that. They already have the deals and fans and shit. But maybe if you're on the block or whatever, you know, you in the cypher and you could see the scale, then maybe you're thinking like that right then and there.
So let me ask you this. Do you think the Game, like let's take the documentary, the whole blow of the documentary was name dropping. You know that, I mean, the documentary, the first one, all he did was name drop. Like, if you take out all the names, you're taking out 70% of the lyrics. Do you think when Game looks at a Nas album, he thinks him and Nas are equal? Like, when Dylan Brooks steps on the court,
that album?
Yeah.
I think he probably did, because it was funny to me that, because I didn't like Game back then because of that. I think back then he thought he was, because he had the confidence. He rapped like he was with the confidence. But I think later on he realized what we already knew. Like, yo, all you do is name drop. And then he had to switch it up. So again, I think he felt to himself he was worthy and he was dope enough. But then, you know, the fans let you know. Whereas with ball, you know, hooping, it's a little bit different. Right, because once you start, people could think you whack because they don't know you. You get out there, you start hooping a little bit, or even if you're serviceable, right? Like I hope nobody going to get a Draymond Green jersey, but I would like to see the numbers on that, right? Like, am I going to get Draymond or Steph or Clay or something like that, right? Draymond is important to that team,
Right.
Very important to that team, but he knows he's an example of, I'm not LeBron, I'm not Steph, but I do what I do, and I know I'm not no nigga in the park. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
I wonder if we could ever get MCs to talk about that shit. Like, for instance, let's say me and you, top prospects, we go to ABDC camp, you bust my ass. Am I still thinking I'm the shit? Or do I think, like, I got some shit I need to work on, Vague exposed me in some places, let me step my game up?
Right.
Or do you just...
Or do you turn it to Lenny Cook?
Yeah, Lenny Cook, like, great example. You know, Lenny Cook was bigger than LeBron's, Amari, Carmelo, all them dudes going into that ABCD camp, you know, and didn't even get drafted. You know what I mean? So I just wonder. And I get it. And I'm going to ask a question later on, but I don't want to belabor us. Eddie, who you got up next, bro? Oh, Vague, did you do R&B one?
yeah. No, I have one. I have The Dream. When I'm really talking about like his first 3 albums, because I was heavy into his first 3 albums, and I was like,
me too.
He's all right. He's an all right singer. He all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't go crazy. Like you said, you're not in church like, yeah, give it up for the Dream. If you know Teddy Pendergrass is back there, you like, The Dream, move the fuck out the way and let Teddy get out. Like, you know what I'm saying? So those first 3 albums, man, I was into them heavy. Like, even now when I hear them, it comes right back. But you know how you just have some people who, because my brother's like this, right? Like, if you say some shit is funny, you kind of got to prove it in the moment. It's like, nigga, just watch it. Like, what? Why do I have to tell you so? When the nigga said this, he put a double entendre on top of it. Like, why do I have to do that? I just said, yo, The Dream is, he makes good music. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But is he tearing down the church? Probably not. I don't know. But from what I've heard, similar to what CL was saying, I was like, well, from what I heard, I like it. So I can't go, you know, I ain't gonna go to bat for it, but
All right. Eddie, who you got up next, bro?
Yo, I got Q-Tip, man, because Fife is always mentioned in this category, and anytime Fife is mentioned, I'm like, Q-Tip ain't a top tier MC either. You know what I mean? He's style over substance. I mean, he be saying shit, but he's not like a lyrical, miracle, spiritual. You know what I mean? I would say, shoot, I could name a grip of MCs like Native Tongues alone that are better than Q-Tip. And Tribe is probably the top group out of Native Tongues. But I'll take all of De La Soul, you know, Jungle Brothers, possibly, you know what I'm saying, Drez, you know what I mean? So
Not Mr. Long. We're gonna just stick with
No.
we should have had Mr. Long in that one episode, Kill, where we was like, what does this nigga do in the group?
Well, you saw on the second album he tried to rap, and that's where it went downhill. On that first single, I was like, Long is rapping? Oh, it's a fucking cold day in hell. It's gonna be a long winter. It's gonna be, but no, that's a great point, Eddie, because like you said, they're the greater group, but I think De La are better lyricists than Tribe, but Tribe is the bigger group. So again, just because you're better doesn't necessarily mean you make better music. You know what I mean? So good point. Chad, who you got up next?
I mean, mine is the best scene stealer of all time is AZ. You know, because I mean, like no one talks about AZ enough. I mean, my boys over they know that I'm an AZ fan, right? You know, but I mean, just what he did on Life's a Bitch, right? Like it was like you felt that, you know what I mean? And his first album is like, Do or Die is like so stuck on, like people do not talk about that for the album that it is. You know, like there's so much content, and the fact that even he's one of those that put out albums, you know, over the last few years, or his EP or an album that's like, if you give it that shot, like you can really listen to it, it's some really good content, you know. But nobody really talks about AZ, man, and I think that he's really the like the epitome of someone that never really got shined because of what they came in with. You know, and he played. But he's one of the ones that always said that, "Go play that role, man, play it." And he played that role. You know, he never really wanted to outshine Nas, so he just always had to fall back. But I think that his skill was always there.
It's funny you say it because I've heard that say a lot, that because he came in kind of under Nas, that's where he always stayed at, kind of like under Nas. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I still always wonder how he got into the damn Dead Presidents video at the end playing Monopoly with Real Money with Big and J, because I was like, nigga, you got money to play with these two niggas? But I guess he did. I always was like that, like that Sesame Street, like one of these kids is doing his own thing. Like one of these niggas don't belong in this room. Like, so, but I guess he got the invite. So
that's when he became one of my absolute personal favorites. I was like, y'all, like, yo, they know. That's how I.
Yeah, somebody said something about him. Like he was the mozzarella. Like somebody was like calling him the mozzarella MC. Like he'd always be trying to. Neither here nor there. JR, who you got up next?
Prince. As a vocalist, no. No.
I can understand.
Like as much, he's the epitome of an artist. Period. He played all the instruments, all that kind of stuff. He got a little tune, but we're not gonna act like he's a vocalist out here. You know what I mean? He's not gonna be in your top 10, 20, 30 vocal list. You know what I mean? So,
true.
Yeah.
I feel you. I think the only tweak for me is I would probably, I would probably put Prince maybe at a 4. So he's not the GOAT.
Singer?
Just because he does hit some high ass notes. Like this nigga.
Is it on key?
Well, see, this is what I don't know. I guess I need to ask T. I don't know. This is where, because you know what? No, wait a second. This is a prime example of what I mean about a hip hop nigga trying to judge an R&B singer. I don't know if it's on key. Like there's somebody out there like, yo, Kill, I think Twista's a 5 mic MC. Why? Because he raps real fast. You know what I mean? And maybe in their mind, like rapping really fast, and it's like, but nigga, is he saying anything? Like, oh, I don't know. He be hitting them high notes, but like you said, is it on key? It's like, ooh, I don't know.
He do
but
got
it sound good.
I ain't gonna lie. He do got
it sound good. You know what I mean? But like Darling Nikki, when he start hitting that like towards the end, I mean that. But
he
again,
just screaming. It's like James, like for real. Like
it sound good. I mean, I thought, I'm fooled by it. I'm sorry. Like I said, this is what happens.
I get it. But
I feel like this is why you gotta have a singer or a rapper in your house. Be like, niggas, is this good? Nah, it ain't good. Okay, cool. Like you know, I don't know.
Right.
Next person I got up, the Beat Nuts. You know what I mean? Not the greatest MCs. I love Juju. Juju has a lot of quotables. I love that. He say, bury your ass where God can't even find you. I mean, that just stays right stuck in my head. But I mean, Psycho Les wasn't that great. Great Fashion was probably the best of the three, but I don't even think Fash on the debut album or the EP Intoxicated Demons with that. But they just incredible producers. And they make great songs. You know what I mean? Props over here. To me, their first Beat Nuts album is a 5 mic classic for me. I know that's probably personal because I love that album so much. Make great songs and everything like that. And then on the flip of that, on the R&B side, I got Raphael Sadiq. I don't think he's
I
a great.
got on my list too.
I don't think he's a great singer. He's told you. He will tell you, I'm not a great singer. I'm a lazy songwriter. He's just a producer. So to me, they're kind of like the beat nuts or the hip hop producer that just so happen to rap. Raphael Sadiq is the R&B producer who just happens to sing. You know what I mean? But again, he's not going to come down to your church and, you know, you don't really want Sadiq singing at your funeral, but, you know, he's going to give you some great songs on that. Vay, who you got up next?
Hip hop, I got DMX. I think a lot of people love DMX because of the same reasons why I love Mary, right?
Yeah.
Emotions and energy and, you know, just the way he's able to convince you that he means what he says when he's rapping, regardless of what he's rapping about. But I never heard anything he wrote and had to figure it out later, because I think that's the bar, right? There's some rappers where you may miss a line, right? Maybe you didn't understand it. Maybe it seemed normal. And then someone breaks it down and you're like, oh shit. You know, he doesn't have that. He just has raw emotion and energy. And his lyrics are typically just straightforward for the most part. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I like him. But I never really felt like I could put him, like because he dropped when Pun dropped. And I remember where I was working, you know, it was like a whole debate, like, well, what album you got? And I'm like, I got Pun. Like, you hear what he doing over here? You know, so I came to X a little bit later, but yeah, he's one of my favorite rappers. I even made a best of, but I never listened to it because I want to hear like some bars. I just want the energy of the music when I listen to the playlist. So.
Makes sense.
R&B, I got 112.
I was right about that shit.
Well, tell us how you really feel, JR.
Right.
What two people can sing for real, but go ahead.
Right. Yeah, and I was kind of going back and forth with that because a couple of times when they would take the lead, I was like, well, shit, he why don't he sing more?
Mm-hmm.
But I just, you know, as a collective, and obviously Slim was always up front. A couple of times I would just be like, Biggie, you really be talking about, I don't think Biggie know R&B like that, because he used to be bigging them up like crazy. And I'm like,
He did.
He really know R&B.
Have you seen the Angie Martinez thing on Life After Death?
Nah.
I started it.
You gotta watch that because 112 was on that. And they like, yo, Biggie showed us so much love. Like, yo, like he said this, he said 112. Like they're interviewing them and they're talking about like, yo, Big loved us, man. Like
He did, man.
And they're just going on and on and on about. He said room 112 and 112 and 112 and 112. So that's funny. That's funny.
And again, I bought probably their first 3, maybe 4 albums, I think, because I liked them. You know what I'm saying? But there was a time where I just knew, like, relax, because this Blackstreet album is out, and these brothers sang. They sang, right? You know, so.
Right. Dave Hollister sang. He sang.
Right.
Hey, what you got up next?
Let's see, man. Guess since I'm wearing the little brother shirt, I'll go with Rapper Big Pooh. Rapper Big Pooh, man, like there was a point where he stood out like a sore thumb, man. You know, because Fonte was just so much better, you know, like, and it was noticeable, like how much better Fonte was, even though like on the listening, they weren't really getting into anything deep, right? I mean, I want to say probably like on the Mistral show, they started touching on like deeper subject matter. Listening was more like a fun record, right? But I think once Rapper Big Pooh started putting out like his solo joints, they started working with like different producers. Like if you go through his solo joints, he's like incrementally getting better and better and better. Like I felt like him on that last Little Brother album, that was the first time where I felt like they were neck and neck. I still feel like Fonte is the better MC overall, but I feel like on that album, it's like, who do I like better on this album? And it was like neck and neck. So I felt like he improved that much. But yeah, I go with rapper Big Pooh.
No doubt, no doubt. Chad, who you got up next?
So I look at like a Killer Cam, right? Like Cam got
Cam was right there on the cusp.
Really like.
He was right there on the cusp for me. Like I was like, damn, do I think Cam is a 4 mic MC or 3? I was on the cusp with Cam. I was stuck on Cam for a while. So it's funny you brought up that.
Yeah, because like the whole Children of the Corn, he was Killer Cam. It was one thing, but it kind of evolved into slinging dope Cam, and then it's SDE and all that, but it was like Cam is nice. Like Cam had his run, but he's never really gonna be mentioned. You know what I mean? On any, he lost himself once he became business Cam, and I know he was Iggy Biggie, and he said Diggy Jiggy. You know what I mean? Like he kind of got lost in that. You know what I mean? And then the whole Dipset thing, where to me, by the time he was washed as an MC, by the time he started Dipset, that's how I always looked at it. Like I didn't really rock with Dipset Cam. Like that was about bread to me. You know what I mean? Like it was, and I was already like kind of older a little bit, so like Jewels and Freaky, like that was too much for me. But like I always looked like, but Cam was like one that he had a ill enough run from his mixtapes and from his ground up. You know what I mean? That he should be kind of talked about a lot more as an MC. Then now he's a personality. You know what I mean? So he became a personality. But now, but as an MC, he really was. He should get a little more conversation about for the run that he had, because there's a reason why he's a personality, because he had some bangers back in the day. But
and then with Cam, he also to me had some street cred too. You know what I mean? Like I remember when he got shot at Howard. It's kind of like nigga got shot, so what? You know what I mean? Type thing too. So, what were you gonna say on the R&B side?
Everybody was getting shot at that time. Like, they still talk about whether or not that was real or not. It's crazy how that goes. But on the R&B side, I was kind of flipping at JR with someone that's a good vocalist, but don't really have the joints that people talk about, like Jennifer Hudson. Like, like as a vocalist, she could sing, but she don't have the joints. That's like, you can't put together a Jennifer Hudson playlist to be like, yo, she's the dopest. You know what I mean? But when the Lord called me home, I want her there if I can record it.
But that's a great example of an incredible lyricist that can't make good songs.
Right. You can have. She's Nas without Hood Boy.
Right.
Yeah. He's a so like so on the R&B side, like I was kind of flipping it a little bit, but definitely like the way come on, like you don't even need to talk about her range or her ability, but like you wish you could put together 5 songs that could just make your case.
But I mean, I know this, and I know JR has kind of echoed this. Tanya's always like, every time Jennifer Hudson sings, she's effing. She's always in character of Dreamgirls. You know what I mean? Which on the new Anthony Hamilton album.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Whoever hasn't heard that album, I actually love it. I saw them redoing Luther Superstar with Jennifer Hudson. I was like, oh, she's gonna come.
You did the same thing. I said, oh, here we go.
And she's dope. She stayed in pocket. It was the first time that like I heard her not be nuffy, not try to bring down the halls of heaven. You know what I mean? And just she sung it, and I was like, yo, okay, like this is what somebody needs to produce her and just say you don't need to be on 100 every single song, like my nigga, like bring it down. So
she gotta find her hit boy.
Yeah,
she gotta find her hit boy.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. JR, who you got up next?
Well, you got my Raphael, but I'm gonna go with who he was inspired by. I'm gonna say Curtis Mayfield. Y'all know I love Curtis. Curtis, but as a vocalist, no. I mean, he had guys in his group that was singing better than him. I mean, Jerry Butler before he left, and then Sam Goodwin. Was it? Wait a minute. Yeah, Gooden and Fred Cash. They sung better than Curtis, but again, Curtis is writing and producing the songs. He know what to do for his range, and it works. You know what I mean? But again, you're not gonna have Curtis Mayfield singing at church. He'll play the hell out of a guitar though, like for real. He'll give you that gospel in the guitar, but vocally, no. So,
All right. Last one I got up is, I got some honorable mentions, but the last one I got is Kanye. I never thought Kanye was a 4-mic MC. In fact, when Kanye first came on the scene, it was a breath of fresh air for me because I was like, we're back to like the Kid and Plays, the Kwame's, but when you don't have to be this lyrical genius and you don't have to be a I think that's what would you say?
No, I said that's where you put him at with the Kid and Plays and the.
Well, I mean, he's better than a Kid and Play, but what I meant by that was at the time when Ye came out, I felt like everybody was a drug dealer. Everybody was killing everybody. It's like what he said. When they thought pink polos would hurt the rock. You know what I mean? Like nobody wanted to sign him. He didn't look like, but he opened the door for everybody, for 80% of the game who's in here now. You know, the Kid Cudis, the Drakes, and all of them. Like I was happy when it was like, yo, Kendrick, Drake, and J. Cole are top 3 MCs, and nobody's selling drugs. Nobody's getting killed on their albums. I was like, yo, I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? But to me, that kind of all started with Ye because it was like, how are we going to get somebody who's wearing pink polos and he's not robbing nobody, he's singing about Jesus, you know, his raps aren't super lyrical, there's nothing deep about it, but like you said, Vague, 100%. You ask Kanye, he's the best rapper walking the planet fucking earth. Like, I don't even have to ask, yo, do you really think you and Jay-Z on the same level? Because you're not. I'm sure you'd be like, I'm better than Jay. And believe it in his heart of hearts, too. You know what I mean? But to me, yeah, he's maybe 3.5 mic on his best day. You know what I'm saying? And then on the R&B side, I got Music. You know what I mean? I never really thought Music was a great singer. I mean, when I first heard whatever the first single was, I was like, it sounded like Knock Off D'Angelo. Like the Rose, just like everything, the whole touch of jazz just had that Dilla D'Angelo bounce to it. So I was just like, it's like a broke D'Angelo. You know what I mean?
You just have to get somebody from Philly in there.
No, I mean, you know, I know what I diss anybody. I diss a nigga who live on my block.
Sure
like,
will.
You know,
like he sure
will.
matter
if you from Philly. It's just, yo, I just don't. I never forget. And my next door neighbor one day told me she was like, Music is her favorite like neo soul rapper. I'm like, I don't know if I look at you the same after that. Like, really, Music? Like, not D'Angelo, not Maxwell, not Anthony Hamilton, but Music. Oh, okay, cool. Well, we'll just wave high and by every morning then, because you know. But yeah, so Music is the last one I have. Vague, who you got up for your last?
Kill real quick.
Uh-huh.
Real quick, but on Pandora, the music out. If you tell Pandora to play Music Soul Child, that algorithm slaps for hours if you let it rock. Just put it out there, like something about the way that it's crazy. Not just just how the algorithm rocks.
I've got a mixtape of Music called Ishka.
We had a run. Oh yes.
If people in Philly, if people who don't know, Ishka Bibbles is a spot on South Street. Cheesesteaks. No, it's not in my top 5. Nowhere the fuck near it. But for some reason, when I made this music mixtape, I was just called it Ishka Bibbles because I feel like it's music. Like it's not great, but I mean, if you're on fucking 5th and South and you want cheesesteak, go to Ishka Bibbles. But all these songs, I mean, music again. We've been saying the whole time has great songs. Like. I mean, yo, I gotta pull it up just to even look at some of the stuff that's on here. But like, yo, this dude has some great songs. So again, this is no knock on these people because, and it was Fonte. He was on something. He was on Twitter and he was saying, yo, a Music D'Angelo versus Music is blowing that nigga out the water. And my first reaction was like, yo, this nigga bugging. But if you talking about hit songs,
right?
I can't hold you. Music is gonna on a versus type stage. He is gonna blow him out. You know what I mean? Hold on, where is this? Ishka Bibbles. I mean, you got Just Friends, Half Crazy, Teach Me, Girl Next Door, One Night, So Beautiful, Love, Merry Go Round, Previous Cats, Don't Change, like. This Settle for My Love, you like this dude has some.
You remember when him and Anthony Hamilton went at it, and Music just killed him. Like,
So again, I've heard about him live in concert. I heard he's horrible,
You know, he wasn't bad when I went to the Roots last year.
Oh, word? Okay.
He wasn't bad at all. I was shocked.
My man saw him in Atlantic City. He was like, "Yo, your man was hard. Your man was trash."
Like normally I heard that too, but I was expecting that when I went to the Roots last year, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, "Oh shit! All right." Maybe
Vay,
it was one and done, but yeah.
Right. Vay, who you got up for your last joint?
Tupac. I feel like
on my list too, on my honorable mentions.
I feel like it's always a debate whether Tupac is a lyricist. I think, I did a whole episode on the word lyricist and what it means. It takes nothing away from Tupac, because if we talk about great songwriters, he's right at the top. But I think when it comes to technique, he can be very basic, and that's how we're rating the scale, right? We're rating on technique. I've never walked away from a Tupac bar ever in any of the songs I love, and like got the metaphor and was blown away by how he put it together. It was just the same thing with DMX, same thing with Mary J. Blige. It was the passion, it was the sincerity. In some cases, it was the energy. And Tupac wrote a lot about things that some rappers typically didn't write about, right? But it was always on a certain level. And I think that's why more people like him, right? Because not everyone wants to figure out your fucking bars. Like, there are people who can see, well, Black Thought is rapping and it look like he raps, but they don't get everything he's saying, right? Because they don't look at music in that way. Some people, they need it to be simple. And Tupac can be really basic, but he can say some true shit. So, and yeah, everybody, well, what about me and my girlfriend? We figured that out when we read the title, okay? It wasn't new, right? So it wasn't like, oh, he's talking about, no, man, it was very easy. But
Vic,
I just think
Vic, I want to ask you something, Vic.
Yeah, what's up?
I want to ask you because I almost had Pac on mine too, right? But it was like the smile that put it over the top, like, you know what I mean? Like, because I felt that he had a lot of those lyrical things. Because he was on my list. I'm sorry to jump in, but it's like I was curious,
right.
like he had enough, but just like not enough for you to put him as a lyricist, though.
Right, because one thing I left out, Kill, when you were talking about like when did it change, I feel like there was a time where Pac's style was the top for lyricism, but when he was out at a time where the bar had already been raised, so it knocked him down a level that way, right? Like, because there were times again when Busy B was the shit, right? Of the guys that rap like that, he was the shit. But then once that level got raised and he couldn't go with it, like Houdini. And what you say? What's the name of the album again?
The name of that album was Open Sesame. And on the cover, everybody Googled this. Google Houdini Open Sesame. They are on a flying magic carpet, like flying over the desert. And like, I think the title cut was with Millie Jackson. I forgot the name of it. God, what was the name? I'll look it up. But yeah, and again, Vague, you bring up a good point because I jotted down here earlier. You know, you had that gradual progression of Busy. Well, at the time, everybody rapped like Busy B because the MC's only job was to keep the crowd hyped while the DJ spun. The DJ was the star of the show. You know, nobody was coming to see the Furious Five. They would come to see Grandmaster Flash. People were going to see Kool Herc. People were going to see Africa Bambaataa. The MC was just kind of like the play. The MC was basically what Martin was for Def Comedy. Like, I'm gonna tell a couple of jokes, and then I'm gonna let the main people come on. Now I'll come out and tell 2-minute jokes, and I'm gonna let the perk. So Busy just took, when Busy got stuck there, Mo D kind of went past him, and you know, then he ethered Busy B, because Busy was like, yo, why are we getting so serious? Like, nigga, I thought we were just saying where the Gemini's at. I thought we was gonna do a Zodiac back and forth. You know? And Kubo D is coming at him. He's like, whoa, brother, I'm just here to say where the fine ladies at. You know? Right. So he wasn't ready for that. And then Mo D got ethered by LL, who was that next step up. And you know, so it's kind of like you said, it's just the evolution of moving on, which was why we didn't really get another Kid and Play album. I mean, we did, but nobody cared about it.
Nobody
you know.
Yeah, and look, even back then, I remember Ecstasy's verse on One Love. I was like, yo, this some poetry. Like, if you just listen to what he's saying, like, you know,
like that for Atlanta, but it's two different things altogether. Because I love a lot of ladies in one thing, but just like the wind, they've all blown away.
Right?
You know what I mean?
You're like, damn, he ain't telling the truth, right? Like, that's what Tupac was, right? He would say some shit you believe in, like, keep your head up. Like, when you listen to what he's saying, it's like, damn, it's a grown man. He care about black women until he do, you know, wonder why they call you or something like that.
Right. But the funny thing is, like you said, some people couldn't evolve. He doesn't let me rap because she's like, nigga, you sound like Curtis Blow. Like, if it was 1985, Kill, you would be the nicest MC walking the planet Earth. Dead ass. If it was 85, baby, you go out there and you make an album. You do it. But, you know, right now, nah. You know, and my shit never evolved. Like, I mean, everybody just couldn't do it. Everybody couldn't do it. Who's your last R&B, babe?
Damn, who did I have? I didn't want to put this person down because I didn't want to put half the people down I put down because it's a simple fact. I like this shit. You know, I almost felt like I was saying something bad. But I got faith because I done heard too many people say, yeah, she kind of hollering. I was like, is she? I think she is. I think she's kind of hollering. Like, no. You know, I was like, and I love Faith, right? Like, I was going to bat too, but I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And maybe I'm thinking more about, well, shit, not that I listen to any of new shit. But it just started to hit me like, I think she could sing, right? But
now I feel there was a lot of people who were like on that cusp, like with Chad with Cam. I'm like, damn, Cam was right there. Like, there are people that are on the cusp, right. But I would probably give Faith to push the 4. I would probably give Faith for me personally, but she could easily be in that 3.5 range. I definitely think she's better than Mary. You know what I mean?
And that's what's weird, right? Because to me, when I first heard Faith, I was kind of like, no, she looked like Mary, but she could sing better.
Right.
But through time, I'm kind of like, well, shit, who actually is singing better? Like, I don't know.
You know, the crazy thing is, we may have to do this at like how we did the 97 Hove show. Like, Faith at her best was, do you think she was a good singer? Like, better than good?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because at no point in time when I first heard that first album did I even think about this at all. I was just like, yo, she can sing. But it's just later when they used to bring out with, like, you know, Gladys is on stage and it's a tribute. And look, I said this is how I knew the difference, right? Because sometimes when they doing the tributes, I'm like, okay, yeah, out there hollering this song, you know. But I don't remember what show it was, but they were doing a tribute for Gladys Knight. She was in the crowd, she was rocking, she was in a chair. And I could tell it was unscripted. They was like, come on up here and sing. They gave her the mic. She didn't even have to warm up. Like, not at all. She barely stood up before she started hitting the notes. Mm-hmm. Like, she just LA. I was like, okay, well, you just gonna it's just natural like that? Like, you ain't gotta warm up. They hollering, they sweating and shit on stage. So it just made me, again, like you said, you look at the people who we just know, like, that you don't even argue with about them singing, and then the newer generation, you don't know if it's partly because of the influences of hip hop, like we discussed, or she's just different in the way she does it. But yeah, that's one of my conflicted picks because, again, I could go either way. Somebody tell me, nah, she can sing. I'm like, you're right. It's like, oh, she hollering. Yeah, you're right. Also, nah,
I feel you. Eddie, who you got for your last joint?
So, I mean, I don't know if Portia's going to come from my head or, I mean, she'll probably come from Vegas. Vegas mentioned Tupac, right? But yeah. I got to go for CL Smooth, man.
He was right, like, he's on the cusp with me. Like, he's right there on the edge. Like,
here's the thing, though, Kill. Has CL ever spit a bar that make you be like, ooh, let me rewind what he said?
Nah. It's just the voice. He just so again, he's probably I'm like vague with Faith. I'm sure somebody could convince. You know what? I don't think somebody could convince me he's better than a 4. So yeah, you're right.
You know, and the thing is, right? Like he's penned some great songs. Like they reminisce of you. You know what I mean? Like he just isn't that bar heavy MC. It's like his voice and his style. He sounds great over P-Rock beats. I don't know if there's too many other MCs who sound great over P-Rock beats. I mean
he said it. The best who ever did it on the Pete Rock track.
Right.
So, I'll tell you what's funny, Chad. When you weren't. Every time you're on here, my co-host Porsche isn't on here, but she hit me up like, "You had motherfucking CL Smooth on the show, and I wasn't on." And I was like, "Well, it really wasn't CL Smooth." No, I think I did fuck with it for me. I was like, "Yeah, well, I just with P, so we got him on. We talked, reminisce, But then I was like, "Nah, that's my man from before he did, But she saw you and saw CL and was like, "How the fuck you get CL Smooth on the show and I'm not on the show?" So, yeah, Chad, you a celeb out here in these streets, these internet streets, man. Chad, who you got for your last joint, man?
My last one is Chuck D. Right, because I know that they put the numbers up, right? But it's like before, like we were even talking about Black Revolutionary and all that. He said, "I'll throw it down your throat like walk." Like that's what we remember, right? Or my Uzi weighs a ton. You know what I mean? Like that was a banger. Like you don't even understand. People don't really understand that first PE album and like what it really meant. You know what I mean? Like he's royalty and rap royalty and all that, but he's revered and all that, but he's not looked at as like what he was as an MC, especially at that time. Like especially once they got into the rock and roll, sound a little more, it kind of lost us a little bit, I kind of think.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, like Black Revolutionaries don't get paid a lot. So he had to get that bag.
That's a t-shirt. Black Revolutionaries don't get paid a lot.
Yeah, he was as selfless as he could be for as long as he could be. And then overseas was showing him love, so he chased that sound. But definitely, like, come on, especially like when you don't get into the fashion. Like most people that are Black Raider fans our age is because Chuck D used to wear the Raider hat. He used to wear the Raider hat and the Raider jacket.
I always tell people to this day, I still wear my hat so low because of Chuck D. Like,
right, exactly.
Chuck D did kind of, he don't get credit for that.
Yeah, dead ass to this day. Niggas be like, "Yo, why you wear your hat so low?" Chuck D. Like,
sneakers, and like he was the first one to wear fitteds. Like nobody was wearing fitteds before Chuck D.
Yep.
Like nobody was. He always straight back. Exactly. He was wearing straight up fitted. They didn't even have the MLB logo on the back yet.
Right. Nah, that's
so it's like point. Chuck D is like real important, and like he don't get enough shine as what he was as a lyricist. So in that context.
Right. JR, who you got up for your last one, bro?
You said my last one when it was Raphael Sadiq, so those are my 5.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, my honorable mentions. I got Smith and Wesson. I got the Beastie Boys. I got Big Noyd. I got Bismarck. I got Boldy James. I got Chance the Rapper. I got Diamond D. I got EPMD. Maybe not Parrish, but definitely Eric.
Definitely Eric.
Kwame, Large Professor, Mike Geronimo, String Wonder, Wise Intelligence, Q-Tip, Jim Jones, Little Dat, Wale, Third Base, and Young Z. And again, this isn't a diss show. I'm naming these names because I feel like all of these people, at least for me, meant something for me in their music. Probably except for Boldy. I'm kind of getting on the Boldy. I can kind of get past the snooziness at this point. But outside of that, all these MCs, String Wonder, I love String. I love String. Mike Geronimo, I talk about the Natural all the time. Large Professor, great MC. But I mean, by the time Nas came around, the Watch Roger do his thing wasn't gonna hit the same, after that. Wise Intelligence. I love PRT's first album, 5 Mike album, but I don't think he's a great lyricist, but I definitely think his name should ring out. Biz. classic album with the going off. But and then just newer people. Wale, I like Wale, but I don't think he's no super duper long division lyricist or anything like that. So yeah, that's what I got. Vague, any honorable mentions? Are you done?
No, but I will say Wale is better than his major releases show.
Okay, and see, I've never heard of Wale mixtape, so let me put that out there first.
It's kind of like how he got in the conversation with the J. Cole's and all that. Because mixtape Wale is kind of like mixtape Fabulous. You know what I'm saying?
Sense.
He's not, to me, I think Fabulous is better, but I remember in the past, hearing Wale on mixtape saying, yo, this guy kind of dope. And then when he released his albums, it was more like chasing radio hits and stuff like that. And he just never put out an album that was that Wale from the mixtapes. Unlike J. Cole, who eventually started to do that and he saw major success. Somebody you said, Oldie James. I was looking right at Eddie because me and Eddie think this nigga is hip hop NyQuil.
Yeah. Nah, I do too. I think he's a snooze fest. I mean, I don't understand, and I think a lot of it comes down to the cosign. Alchemist, Alchemist does your album, you're good. You're gonna sell out the Howard Theater. You're gonna do SOBs. You're gonna do that club circuit. Then God forbid, I think he's on Griselda now too. So, you throw that in the air too. It's like same thing. Rome Streets. I think I hear him and I'm like, he's cool, but y'all niggas is acting like this dude is barring you out the window, and I just don't personally see it. I just personally don't see it. And again, it's not a diss. Everybody is not a lyrical ninja. It's just not. Eddie, you got anybody else on any honorable mentions?
I had someone, but just lost it. But I say Dilla. Dilla wasn't lyrical man, but he just had. He had to produce his ear, man. He just knew how to freak it over the beats. He was dope.
He's kind of like Hit Boy in that way. Like Hit Boy is not a bad rapper, but he's just kind of like, oh, okay, he can rap. You don't really get excited with his bars.
The thing with Dilla is that even though you got that joint Thelonious, right? And Common is a better rapper than Jay Dilla, but
Dilla killed that verse.
Right? He got the best verse on there. So it's kind of like another one would be like how everyone talks about Capadonna's Winter Wars verse. But was it really that lyrical? Not really. It's just the way he flowed over it and just kind of how he kept the rhyme going. It wasn't that lyrical, really.
Right. All right. CL, you got any body left?
Yeah, it's funny because I have Fabulous, Capadonna, Cormega, and even Freddie Gibbs. Because I think when Freddie Gibbs is in his bag, he's nice. But he's so distracted by being a personality. That he don't really be in his bag like that. And I'll put Benny the Butcher kind of in the same bag. If I'm a Benny the Butcher fan, I think that he's dope. I've played 330 in Houston 3 times in a row before. I think that song is one of the best new dude songs. That come out in a minute. But so those are that's really kind of my honorable mentions. But it's a lot of dudes out there that's like that. For real. I used to be a real Pop Smoke dude. I like Pop Smoke a lot. It was a good workout, and just to kind of let it rock. So nobody's gonna say Pop Smoke was ever top 20, but but he got enough joints that if you want to get amped up, you can get amped up. Now it's Kill, me, so
I mean,
get amped up a little bit.
The thing about Pop, I didn't even realize how big he was until he passed. Which is the sad part about it. But I know exactly what you're saying. JR, anybody else left for you?
I'm out.
All right, Vague, tell them about the new EP that's out, good brother.
All right, I got a new EP out called GMT, Grown Man Time produced, completely produced by DJ Rec One. The whole theme of the album is, or the EP is, grown man music, right? Grown man bars. The whole approach is, just obviously still asserting myself as an MC, but just from a standpoint of a veteran more than anything. And it's a quick listen. It's specifically designed to have you listen. It's real quick and want to hit replay after that. So you can check that out at vegasworldinc.bandcamp.com. Replace all the O's with Economics.
Yo, it's so funny, bro, because I was about to do the same joke when it came around to me. So
right.
The Aries is right there because I was about to say the same exact thing, bro. Same.
Right. But yeah, all of it's there. Like all of my work. My last project with Willmatic is there. So you can check it out. It's free of charge. If you want to donate, cool. If you don't, just happy that you listen. So
no doubt. Eddie, where can they get at you, good brother?
Yeah, on Twitter at EddieB80, Instagram at Freestyles. I almost had a damn free card. Can you find it?
What'd you say?
No, I was like, I almost forgot my shit, man. I was like, where can you find it?
Chad, where can they get at you, good brother?
You already know, right through at Kill889. Wherever he's at, I'm easy to find.
Damn fool, man. I gotta get you down here in Maryland, man, and hang out with me and Mike, man.
You already know. Let me know. We work that out.
JR, where can they get at you, good brother?
Just R&B rap. Well, I'm getting back to Junior's World, so I already recorded 3 videos thanks to Kill. And I'm getting back to current R&B bangers, but R&B raps, our new episode, which just will be up, we talked about Born to Sing, In Vogue. We really got into that album and gave In Vogue the original 4 their stripes as they should. And we got some more episodes coming in. We got a guest coming up, which we're in the makings of getting, so that's great. So R&B Raps on Instagram, R&B Raps on Twitter, JR's World of Soul on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Tell me this, again, not an R&B head. So they replaced some of the people in Vogue? I thought it was 4, then they just went to 3.
Yeah.
And then they stayed at 3.
Oh, no, they went to 4. Then it was the 3 of them. Then they got 2 more girls. And then they got back together as a 4. And then they brought Rona. And then that was just Rona, Terry, and Cindy.
Had no idea. I swear to God, after that joint off the Set It Off soundtrack, I haven't kept up.
I think that's when everybody tuned out, because then they became EV3 and everybody was like, now wait a minute, where's Dawn?
So,
you know what I mean? Like, that was
he's
it.
gonna be in Jersey this weekend. Not like the original 4. It's these other. They in Jersey this weekend.
Oh, you getting the 3? You getting 3?
What 3?
You getting Cindy, Terry, and Rona. The girl that was on Jamie Foxx.
Rona, the girl who used to sing that was on Jamie Foxx. She in Vogue?
Yes, she's in Vogue. Yeah, she's been in Vogue since like 2004.
Dog Set It Off was 97. I told you I checked.
Oh yeah, you tuned out. That's right. That's right.
I tuned out. Like when I found out the niggas from Player is now with Drew Hill.
That's ridiculous. Look.
Yeah, they kind of did some Avengers shit.
Yeah, like that. Yes, like that's too much. Like, come on. Like,
I said y'all are like
playing
enjoy Drew Hill.
Come on, y'all. Nah.
Yeah, that definitely is some Avengers shit. You already know this with me. Kill889 Twitter, IG. Real quick, check on your people, love on your people. On my way home, I got a phone call. One of my peoples from high school committed suicide yesterday, which is crazy. Again, check on your peoples, love on your peoples. West Coast burn, we all know and love him. His sister's house burned down the other day. Luckily, his family were able to get out. I spoke with him for a minute yesterday. He said, some other people in the building weren't as lucky. Some people died in the fire, and things like that. So, his sister, his daughter Chase, and his niece were able to get out okay. But I was going to do the Vegas joke of I don't even know the Bandcamp the GoFundMe. Just click my link or click What Up Vern at What Up Vern. The GoFundMe link is up there. Like I always tell people, hip hop is about community. Again, I always tell people, if you fuck with me, then fuck with me. So if you fuck with Vern, fuck with Vern. This is when his family needs some help. Anything from $1. If you can't give, totally understand. A retweet is golden. You never know. You could retweet to somebody who is feeling very generous and could really bless them. So again, even if you can't give, a retweet is golden. So definitely hip hop started out as community. Let's keep it a community. So whatever you can give is definitely necessary. And I always tell people, like my pastor tells me, if you live long enough, we will all need help. We will all need help. So you may be thinking, I'm good. Trust me, you live long enough, we will all need help. So that's it for me. I will check you brothers next week, y'all. Good looking.